Hello, creeps. It's me, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And you're listening to Scare Point with Craig and Nathan.
Total terror. The dead whose haunted souls hunt the living. Dead.
Oh, Barney. Oh, Barney. I think this is a scare point.
Damn it, Betty, it's not a scare point. It's just a regular episode of Fairpoint.
No, Barney. I think it really is a scare point.
Would you let it go, Betty? It's probably not even a fair point. It's probably just a fair enough. That's all they ever do nowadays anyway. Talk about missing time. Fuck right off if you don't like Pokemon.
Well, my sister said their last episode was a scare point.
Your sister said she watched the podcast, and she didn't even remember which episode. Your sister doesn't really listen, Betty.
She's Don Luke.
Betty.
It's a scare point, Barney.
This is why they're 3 hours long, Betty.
I'm Nathan K.
And I'm sick.
Are you sick?
No, but I sounded sick when I just barfed all over this mic. I'm Craig Lewis.
Let's just both clear our throats.
Welcome to our podcast. We have officially broken new ground and stretched the Halloween season clear into 2017.
To the following year. So that means when this next holiday comes around, it's the second time we're doing Halloween that year.
This is still technically, I think, ScarePoint 2016. We've just extended it. And
long enough.
The theme for ScarePoint 2016.
It's couples costumes.
Couples costumes.
Aww,
that's right.
They so cute.
Last episode.
Last time.
The last three of those were actually correct.
All three.
Last month, year-end episode. We discussed world-famous ghost hunters Ed and Lorraine Warren. This week, we're switching from hauntings to abductions and talking about the first ever documented alien abduction case.
Betty and Barney Hill.
Peggy and Hank Hill?
Betty White and Barney Fife.
Gotcha.
But are they out there?
But are the butts out there? Who out there?
You know, they. Are they out there up in the skies? Can't you see I'm looking towards the sky or ceiling? Whatever.
My upstairs neighbor?
Yes.
It's just your friendly upstairs neighbors, the Greys.
That's baloney.
So what's your temperature, Craig? Aliens, alien abductions, UFOs, visitors from outer space.
Absolutely. Other life forms exist that are humanoid.
Wait, you're saying with absolute certainty you believe that humanoid life forms exist elsewhere in the universe?
Do you know how big the universe is, Nathan? It is large. It is so massive. There's no shadow of a doubt in my mind that something is out there. Do I believe that there are any in our system right now? No.
But wait, okay.
Because space is way too big.
You used a very specific word, humanoid. So what I'm saying, you believe the universe is so big that not only is it statistically probable that life has developed elsewhere, but life has developed and evolved in such a way to have a humanoid form, like 2 legs, 2 arms, a head, a torso.
Well, I suppose there also might be some glip-glops, some like goo beasts, maybe.
Some squeedly splooches.
Yeah, squeedly splooches, those guys. Yeah. Maybe humanoid. Definitely, I think there is some form of humanoid out there.
Definitely.
That's
why I'm at. You're saying you're like speaking in absolutes, but with this wishy-washy, like, I'm not sure tone. So I'm like, I gotta.
Okay. So my not sure tone is I have no proof to back it up. That's where that comes from. But I'm not one of those people that are like, oh yeah, my cousin said that he was abducted, and so I believe it. I think maybe only once has another alien life form visited our system. Roswell. Yeah.
You think Roswell was legit? That's your thing?
If not Roswell, then something else. I don't know. Maybe it was just Bender from Futurama.
Okay.
And Zoidberg.
But what I'm curious, though, like, I'm really stuck on this humanoid thing. So you think with probability, you are of the opinion that it's probably like Star Trek and Star Wars out there. Like maybe not that densely populated, that social, but that there are other humanoid races in the universe.
I don't want to sound like a humanoidist. So, I'm not just like, Sieg humanoid, hail. So I guess maybe I spoke wrong when I said humanoid, but I am 100% sure in the back of my mind that there has to be something else out there that can communicate.
So you meant like sentient or
sentient,
like self-aware?
there you go.
Yeah, okay.
And not robot. Specifically not, I mean, I'm sure there are sentient robots out there, but not robot is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a living organism.
What is with all this robot hate on the podcast lately? Like, everybody's just acting so prejudiced.
Because
like,
robots are dicks. They want to kill all humans.
Not yet they don't. But with an attitude like that, you're certainly not helping.
So what you're saying is we can actively change the possible future. Because it's only a possible future.
Well, let's stay focused on aliens.
What's with all the third degree? What's your take on the alien sitch?
Oh, we're going to open that box of worms, huh?
I think you mean can of worms.
Oh, no, it's a box. It's a whole box.
Oh, my God.
It's a shipment of cans of worms in their original delivery box.
From a company called Pandora?
Blue Apron.
Oh, ew. They do worms?
Gray Apron. You're dining out of this world. Anyway.
grayapron.org/gov.
/ not really, though. Okay, let's see if I can do this lightning round fast. Otherwise, I'll get stuck doing the Nathan thing, where I just talk and talk for like 3 hours.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Okay.
So just give me the hot take, and we'll talk about the rest later.
It's very multifaceted. I don't like when people are just like, well, yeah, I feel like it's very self-centered to think that, like, oh, we're special. We're the only things out there in the universe. Like, it's very self-centered to think that. Of course there are aliens out there. I hate that when people say that. That, to me, is like all they do in Hollywood nowadays is sequels and reboots of the cosmos. Like, come up with an original thought. You're just parroting something.
Am I cool because I didn't say it's selfish?
No,
or
you
did I fall into the category still because I was half of the market?
Similar. You fell into the Venn diagram, but
somewhere along the line. I'm in a circle.
I think it is actually, we should think that we are special. The universe, atoms themselves, found a way to unite, like, in quinetrex amounts of them. And quinetrex is the biggest number imaginable. It's bigger than infinity.
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm exaggerating. But amounts of atoms in the beyond the trillions. Like, how many atoms are in a human? I don't know. Probably way beyond trillions. There are probably trillions of atoms in your fucking thumbnail.
Yeah, probably.
I'm speaking out of my ass, but I know the number is astronomical. And the fact that atoms could come together and form a way for atoms to recognize and think about atoms, whether or not that was, I'm not trying to imply that was the atom's intent, but the fact that the universe created a way for it to think about itself, which is pretty much what humans are, is fucking amazing. That is mind-blowing, whether you're religious, atheistic, agnostic, no matter what. That should really blow anybody's mind.
So we are all special, unique little snowflakes.
Yes, and I don't think it's that improbable that it only happened once in the universe, because it's such an insane thing that not only are we alive, but we are beginning to understand the formation of the unit. Like, I think if we persist, one day we will understand. I'm doing the thing.
Yeah, you're doing the thing. Stop it. Move on.
Aliens. So, are there aliens? There's got to be life out there in the universe somewhere. I definitely believe that. But I also think saying that is another thing that bugs me, because I think everywhere that atoms are moving, there is life. I think what we rigidly classify as life is a very, like, carbon-centric, like, metabolo-centric.
Yeah, there could be, like, single cellular life out in
or
space.
Life that doesn't have to do with cells. People say the Earth is alive. That makes sense, right? The Earth, a lot of people, even that aren't like hippy-dippy, believe, like, we'll get on with that. Like, yeah, the Earth totally is alive. It works like an organism.
I thought that it was.
Well, why then is a rock so different? If a rock is a piece of this Earth, like a dead skin cell is a piece of a human, like, I think anywhere that atoms are moving of their own volition, there is life.
I think in the same aspect is I wouldn't consider a dead skin cell alive, because first off, we just said it was dead. Rocks are like the poops of the earth.
But I think every atom is alive.
Right. Okay, I see where you're coming from, because they're moving. Yeah.
They are alive.
Water
Whether or
is
not
alive.
They don't have complex consciousnesses like humans do, because that has evolved over millennia, and it's the product of atoms forming molecules forming chemical reactions forming substances and matter in the universe, and life evolving and all this, what we call life.
Okay, so I think that's the barrier then, is complex consciousness.
Yeah.
Is there life with that out
Is
there?
there
Do you
complex
believe
consciousness out there? Okay.
that would
I don't
be
know. I don't know, because, okay, when people say, like, well, why would we be the only ones?
so you're like
well,
alien agnostic.
well, think about this. Would a sperm cell or an egg cell in a human body, if that sperm or egg cell was like, yeah, there's got to be other things like us elsewhere in the human body, right? It would be pretty self-centered to think we were the only ones.
The human body is so big
but
compared to them.
Yeah, though, that's their universe. That's the organism they're part of. But that's not necessarily true, though, because sperm cells only exist where sperm cells exist. Egg cells only exist where egg cells exist. They serve a specific function within their greater, the thing they're a part of. And why is it that far-fetched to think that humanity, a species of animal which is beginning to understand the universe, serves some type of a part in the body of the universe? It's not that weird and religious a thought. It actually makes perfect sense with what we know about biology and nature.
Right. But let's say, for evolution's sake, evolution is about adapting and growing to be able to survive in the environment. What if maybe this biological organism elsewhere, because like that is what everybody's looking for. Are there stable conditions for a biological organism to survive on another planet? Like the scientists, at least, that are looking at
I'm not
another
the
planet.
person to answer that.
Right. No,
according
I'm
to
still,
scientists,
well,
yes.
This is kind of hypotheticals, but that's what the scientists are looking for right now. What if it was to say, there's a planet that's mostly compromised of chlorine? I don't know. Because clearly, or there's a different element that we don't even know about because it's not in our system. It's in a different solar system on the other side of the universe. And we don't even have telescopes to get that far. But like,
I know this isn't exactly your point, but according to my understanding of the way elements work, we haven't discovered all the elements, but we can predict what they will be before we discover them because of the periodic table and the way that like atomic weight works and everything. Like a lot of the elements we discovered now, like they invented the periodic table way before we discovered them, and they're like, oh, don't worry, we'll discover these elements that fit here sooner or later. And
right.
Then we did. Not your point. Go on.
Not
I'm
my
sorry.
point. Let's say like
I just wanted to flex real quick on this podcast, flex my mind a little bit. Like,
these
yeah,
are like
that?
the
Yeah,
500th element that is found in the unknown universe. There is a different biological organism that is adapted to its environment and has grown and has found a way to thrive and survive in its climate. And like say it breathes chlorine.
And it eventually develops self-awareness, sentience,
Yes.
and possibly the use of technology. Now, see what I'm
Yes,
saying.
or maybe there's just another god that sparks everything there.
But
on the other side.
Let's not get into that. Let's try to stay on the track we're on. What I'm saying is like that'd be fascinating. That'd be amazing, and it's worth exploring the possibility. However, I think it's also important and worth broadening our parameters for what we will accept as life and learning to communicate with life in ways that aren't so anthrocentric. Anthrocentric meaning like, why do they have to be tool users for us to relate to them culturally? Because our entire existence and culture is based on being tool users in the same way that bees' entire existence and culture is based on being gatherers and producers of honey and pollen and all that shit, like.
Well, it's safe to say if they have their own spaceship that they are tool users.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. That doesn't necessarily denote intelligence.
It could be like a plant type thing on a different.
There could be a plant that is able to absorb information better than we are and process it better than we are. And just because it doesn't use tools doesn't mean that it's not an advanced species. And we might look right over that and be like, damn, we're looking for intelligent life, but we're not stopping to consider that life is bigger than that. But let's stay within these parameters. We did this and it was awesome. It was a great discussion, and this is why they're 3 hours long. In the idea of what you're talking about, actual entities, cognizant, aware entities that may be possibly visiting us. Okay, well, I do believe that we share this space with entities, whether you call them ghosts, spirits, demons, angels, aliens. There's a lot of words for them, fairies. I do believe that there are other entities that are current like modes of understanding.
Alternate dimensional beings.
Extra dimensional beings I like things that exist in not just on a 3-dimensional plane. Now, if you want me to believe anything specific about these entities, that I'm pretty confident in their existence, like through my life experiences, I'm pretty confident that there are entities that exist which we don't have a means of understanding right now. If you want me to believe something specific about them, you'd better have some evidence. If you want me to believe they are visitors from another world, from Zeta Reticuli, that want to make hybrids and
name drop.
further the reptilian agenda, you better have some physical, tangible evidence. If you want me to believe that
absolutely.
they're the spirits of the deceased and that they can possess people but not objects, you better have some evidence. Like, until you give me a reason to believe something about them, I'm not going to jump to any conclusions. So I will respect if somebody tells me they had a crazy scenario that happened to them that doesn't fit into my scientific worldview. I will approach it with skepticism, but I won't write them off because I know I've had experiences like that. And I'll just be like,
that means you're a good skeptic, though.
Yeah, well, it doesn't affect my life. If I trust you, I will take it into my... Like, I know someone who said they saw legit a flying saucer, and this is somebody that I trust with my life. Like, I would trust with my baby's life. If I had to throw my baby off a bridge and I had to choose one person to catch them, I'd catch him.
Superman.
One real person to catch them. Sorry, Craig, they're just slightly more athletic than you. And he swears that he saw a flying saucer. And I know that flying saucers were invented by a journalistic misprint. Like, it's, so it's weird, but at the same time, I don't doubt that he had some type of experience. And
I have we'll do possible theories later. I can maybe give one possible theory to explain what your friend saw.
Really?
Yes.
But you'd rather us do this later on? Okay, let's do that then.
We'll get the end of the podcast. We'll talk about alternate possibilities.
For alien abductions?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. That's great. So I guess we will save that for the end.
For the end. And for now, let's get into some news. Take it away, Nathan.
All right, big news, Craig. Big news from beyond the stars, coming from Mars.
Oh, yeah, so big on Mars.
He goes out at night, eating cars, eats Cadillacs. Lincoln's too. Okay, I gotta stop. Recently,
I just caught a Pikachu.
A spoon, a couch, and even a reptile have been supposedly sighted in pictures on Mars.
What?
Pictures from Mars.
So
they weren't like people weren't looking at the pictures on Mars, but the pictures were taken on Mars and then sent to Earth.
Okay, so there's a couch, a spoon, and a reptile. So
walk into a bar.
It's just no. So the reptile is chilling on the couch with the spoon, just waiting on the yogurt to come.
Yes, exactly.
Elon Musk is getting there one piece at a time.
Basically, all sorts of people noticing artifacts popping up, like what looks like an old spoon covered in dust and dirt in the ground, what looks like a iguana or something with like spines or horns on the back of its head, and a reptilian like face and eyes like peeking up from behind a rock.
Oh, that's just an iguana fossil.
That's what they're theorizing, that it could be a fossil, it could be, these could be artifacts. The couch, there's supposedly it looks like a couch. I just see rocks.
The Mars rover brought the couch.
Mercury, supposedly now they're even seeing like a door, or like a door on Mercury in the middle of Mercury.
What?
That's what everyone.
What?
That's the question on everyone's mind, Craig.
The planet is comprised of gas. Hey guys, Craig from the future. Yes, that's Craig and not Nathan for once. My bad. We were talking about Mercury and I was thinking of Neptune. Whoops. Back to the podcast. The planet is comprised of gas. Where are you going to stand? Is there even the gravitational pull will be so heavy that the door would just fall flat into the middle of the thing.
We did not know that planet was the closest planet to the sun, Sally, when we bought it.
Why would we?
Oh, that's weird because you're talking about like things being found on other planets.
Cited in pictures.
Or cited in pictures. Okay, so I almost had one of these news stories about the moon. There was an alien structure sighted on the moon. And to be honest, it just looked like weird, like a break in the camera. Because, satellite cameras are not exactly 100% accurate.
There's fucking two smiley faces on Mars. Like, there's fucking like... Okay, the face on Mars. Remember that?
Yeah, that wasn't that Dr. Manhattan?
No. Okay, so that's the smiley face. There's a smiley face on Mars, supposedly, and then there's the more human face on Mars. I remember seeing that as a kid, and I was like, whoa, mind blown. That was fascinating. That, to me, was the one worth getting excited over. And then it was proven that it was just a trick of the shadows and light, and that there was no structure on the surface that actually looked like a face.
You know what photos and pictures I believe? The live feed from the Mars rover. That was really cool when that came out.
Well, I think these pictures all come from like the Mars rover and stuff like that. But the thing is, you're reading too deep into these. These are even less like high fidelity than the picture of the face, which was taken in like the 60s or 70s or something.
Oh yeah, totally credible.
You know, it's not even. I don't even think it's just They say it's like conspiracy theorists. These people that believe in the reptilian agenda and all this, like aliens on Mars and all this.
You don't? You fucking sheep.
But I don't think it is. I think all it is nowadays is just clickbait. Is just get people to click the link so we can get paid for the ad views. There's no
Ooh, ad views.
It's not tabloids, it's not
so
conspiracy theorists, it's
good.
not genuine extraterrestrial enthusiasts. It's just clickbait.
My favorite form of those are like where there's 10 pages you have to click to get maybe a one paragraph story.
Seriously. But it's just every little anomaly in a photograph taken in space now is proof of extraterrestrial life.
Bullshit.
Come on.
Not proof, brah. Come
on.
at me, brah. The one that I was looking at, the alien structure, I decided that I was going to try to corroborate it with another story about it, maybe link it together. This dude even put coordinates from Google Moon. So I copy the coordinates, pop those into Google Moon. Oh, guess what it says? Oh, this coordinates don't exist. I was like, oh, this sly fuck.
Illuminati confirmed.
This sly fuck.
The Illuminati's the sly ones. He was telling the truth. They shut it down.
They shut me
Greg.
down.
They blocked it.
They knew what I was doing.
They're watching you. Better be
Oh,
careful what you look
shit.
at that computer.
Better be careful what I say on this podcast. Is that a
No, they don't
laser
listen.
pointer on my forehead?
Dude, they said they watched the podcast.
Yeah.
They didn't even remember what the topic was for the episode they quote unquote watched. They don't really listen.
Oh, yeah, it was that one with the thing about the guys.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys were like talking. You were laughing.
You talked about like a book or something.
Yeah, it was funny. You like bantered, and then you did news, and then you did the topic. It was funny. So, Craig. A survey was conducted in Panama recently.
Of how many people?
I think it was 1,200.
1,200. Now, is that households or individual people?
1,200 people.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no. I mean, as far as my sources.
And what's the census like in Panama?
Oh, my God.
Just saying, you can't give me proof. I don't know if I can believe it.
Well, the survey was cataloging people's emotional responses after seeing a UFO.
Oh, so there was basically just they were doing a test panel for Family Feud.
Yes, exactly. What do people say that they feel after seeing a UFO?
Top 5 answers are on the board.
I want to go with contempt for the government. All right, contempt for the government, judges say. No, NSA, please have him deported. Security.
He's un-American. This guy would probably kneel during the national anthem.
Steve Harvey, I'm going to have to go with being compelled to exaggerate and hype up a relatively uninteresting, boring experience of a dot in the sky.
That was a mouthful. Judges?
Those exact words are on the board. But we're going to you anyway.
We're going to you anyway. Then we'll just take the next 30 to 40 seconds to have the camera zoom in on Steve Harvey while he gives this disbelief look in his face. And he just starts to frown and like he's about to say something. And he's like, nah, I can't say that. While the entire crowd is just going, look at Steve Harvey. He makes faces. He's this generation's Jim Carrey. Okay, and now we have another successful episode of Family Feud. Both parties lost, and what did the survey say?
All right, so
Number 1 answer.
So less than a fifth of the people reported being scared, which is good. You see some lights in the sky, don't get scared. They're probably just lights in the sky.
It's probably a commercial airliner. I don't know.
Even if they're aliens, they're probably not going to fuck with you. They're
Right?
gonna fuck about
Do they
you.
even see me?
They're more scared of you than you are of them.
I probably doubt that.
More than a third, that's 37% in a row, admitted to having an immediate desire for sex.
Ooh.
That's right.
So aliens
UFOs are an aphrodisiac.
aliens equate to sex. I mean, that's still less than 40% of the population of Panama.
They want to harvest our sperm cells and our egg cells because they can only be found in one place in the universe, and that is human balls and uteri.
That's to put on the great life beast in the sky. Just in case we ever get wiped out, they'll have us to repopulate people eventually in another
Hybrids.
100 million years. Oh, reptilians. Holy shit.
No, I was just cars.
Oh.
They just really want to. They really want us to embrace
So-
more eco-friendly methods of.
So that's
energy
how
consumption.
the whole universe of Owen Wilson and Cars happened. Spliced cars with human DNA.
Triggered. Don't bring up Cars. After Cars 3, after that trailer, I just can't.
Wait, what? There's a third car? Zzz.
I was hoping you knew that. Apparently, there was a big controversy because there's a third Cars coming out, and the trailer's super dark. Like it shows what's his name, Lightning McQueen or something.
Owen Wilson, yeah. Owen Wilson car.
Yeah, he's racing along the racetrack and he gets in an accident.
Holy shit! Was Larry the cable car? Was
Cable car.
Hey, he's a tow truck that has a cable, so technically he is a cable car.
Do you think they thought about that when they did it?
No, his name's fucking Tomato or something.
But Lightning McQueen eats it. His tires go flying off. He busts into pieces. Blood's all over. There's no blood.
Oh shit! It's a good thing he's not fully anthropomorphic.
Apparently,
He could just be repaired
kids
like
were
robots.
crying. Kids were crying in the theater, and parents were demanding their money back. I don't know. I may be. Reading.
Oh my god, these kids! You need to get them in the mood to get them to see Trolls the movie.
Yeah, show them a UFO or two.
Yeah, come on.
Get them in the mood.
So the Cars movie has a UFO in it? Is that what relates to your news story?
No.
Oh, there was a
brought
survey.
You brought up Cars, and I
Family
said I
Feud.
was triggered. Because
Triggered by the movie Cars 3.
Because, kids get triggered by the trailer of seeing their favorite character brutalized on screen in a children's movie trailer, and I get triggered by the fact that they're making another fucking Cars movie?
Yeah, well, just so you know, I didn't get triggered when I first saw Bane break Batman's back. I'm a strong boy.
I got turned on. I wrote a fanfic.
Ooh. All right, so next we're going to go to someplace a little more exotic than Panama, Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Weird news story. A gentleman was looking to buy a property in Detroit. I know. Weird. Why? They have bad water or some shit. Why would you invest in that place? Ouch, that was mean. Sorry, Flint. Sorry, Detroit listeners.
I'm just listening.
So he was looking to buy a property there. And while taking a peek at everything, they went into the garage and found this old car. And inside the car was almost a mummified body, just a skeleton wearing plain street clothes. And they were like, what? People live there. So they're like,
I don't like when skeletons wear clothes. I don't like it.
Officer,
I don't like it.
Officer, arrest the people that live here. They have a dead body in this garage. And you know what they said? The landlord had locked the garage on them and said that they weren't allowed to go in there. And then the landlord's like, oh boy, I'm in another sticky situation. Ooh. Probably because there was a dead body in there.
What?
Yeah, right?
So
this
what
shit's
happened? Whose
fresh.
body was it?
Oh, we don't even know yet. That's how fresh it is.
I assume it was the landlord's. The landlord is the one that put it there. He was the one keeping it there.
Well, I guess we'll see. The autopsy is scheduled for, as of this recording, next Friday.
All right. Well, we've all had it up to here with this last year, the election.
I thought for once we were not going to talk politics on this.
Well, WikiLeaks recently leaked Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, John Podesta's emails.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is right, Craig.
What did the Clinton campaign do this time? Are we still with her?
Oh, there's all sorts of juicy tidbits in Podesta's emails, but a few of particular interest.
And why would I not be surprised if it's bad? Because you're making it sound foreboding and terrible.
Well, it's hard to tell because they're very vaguely worded. They're quick emails sent to somebody who already knows
The
what
code
they're talking
word?
about.
Basically, they have code words.
No, Craig, he actually had a correspondence, a very relevant correspondence to this episode.
Oh, shit. They had a correspondence with Betty and Barney Hill?
No.
From the grave?
He had a correspondence with a high-profile former rock star,
Sebastian Bach.
who we've done an episode. We did an episode about their band.
Morrissey.
Getting there.
Closer? What fucking bands did we do? POS.
Getting there.
Really?
Right genre.
Oh, Wu-Tang Clan. Did we do an episode
wrong
on them?
genre.
Right genre?
Wrong genre.
Oh, wrong genre, but hip-hop.
POS is fucking punk rock, dude.
Oh, Blink-182. It's Mark. No, it's Adam. Adam's the crazy one.
No, it's the guy from Alkaline Trio.
Oh, shit. He's the
Adam? Adam? Are you talking about Adam from Adam's song?
Tom DeLonge.
Yes, that's right. Ding, ding, ding. Winner, winner. Grays are thinner.
Oh, okay.
It's the best I could do.
So wait, he was having a correspondence with Hillary Clinton?
With
That's
her-
why he couldn't go on a reunion tour?
with her campaign manager, John Podesta. And yes, Craig, that is why he quit the band. He quit the band, Blink-182. We're talking about, to those who don't know who Tom DeLonge is, have you ever heard of Blink-182? All the
No.
small things.
What's that?
Tom DeLonge's the whiny one. Like,
Is
there's
that like
the-
Fall Out Boy?
There's the harmonic one and the whiny one. They predate Fall Out Boy.
Oh.
Well, they
so-
predate the band. I don't know about the Simpsons character. Probably about the same time.
Stand back, radioactive man.
I'm standing back.
Excellent.
I'm radioactive. I always stand back. It's just like polite.
Open at them, Fall Out Boy.
Tom DeLonge has apparently been corresponding with all sorts of government officials about some alien shit.
So he quit the band to be an official Mulder?
Yeah. He's talking to people in the Army, Area 51 people. Like,
Was he talking to Clinton's campaign manager because everybody fucking thought she would win?
no, they were going back and forth about it. Like,
Or because
okay.
she's Secretary of State currently?
Hi, John. Hold on, let me. Hey, John. Hey, John. Hey,
John, remember that band Angels and
John.
Airwaves I was in?
Hi, John. Tom DeLonge here. The one who interviewed you for that special documentary not too long ago. Things are moving with the project. The novels, film, and nonfiction works are blooming and finishing. Just had a preliminary meeting with Spielberg's chief operating officer at DreamWorks. More meetings are now on the books. I would like to bring two very important people to meet you in D.C. Important is in air quotes. Well, not air quotes, actual quotes. I think you will find them very interesting as they were principal leadership relating to our sensitive topic. Both were in charge of most fragile divisions as it relates to classified science and DoD topics. Other words, these are A-level officials, worth our time and as well the investment to bring all the way out to you. I just need 2 hours from you. Just looking to have a casual and private conversation in person. Best, Tom DeLonge.
Whoa. We have to back up to the most important part. What is Spielberg, DreamWorks, and Tom DeLonge working on?
Tom DeLonge is working on a multimedia nonfiction project involving novels, feature films, a television series, and a concept album. No concept album to my knowledge. But he's trying to uncover the truth about alien technology and whether or not we are in possession of it, and it has been kept a secret from us.
Ooh.
It's really cool. Like, they've apparently met a few times. There's another one where he gripes about this military general who he's like, he mentioned that he's a skeptic when we met. He's not a skeptic. Trust me. I've been working with him for months. I've been working with him for 4 months, he says.
Oh, shit.
And
I find this absolutely fascinating, and I want to know when this is going to be brought to light, and I want to know what John Podesta has to say about this, and I also want to know what Tom DeLonge has to say about this, even though I have a feeling I know what it is. Yeah, man.
What's that?
Totally. Absolutely. There's totally aliens out there. I've been saying it for forever.
if you look into this, like, he's making a movie, he's already written a book. When people have something to sell like this, especially when you're like that high profile and you're putting that much into it, it always makes me feel a little weird. Like, is Hillary Clinton and her circle above just being paid off for viral marketing to like have their emails WikiLeaked to be part of
fake WikiLeaked emails to promote? I was going to say this is the best case of viral marketing ever.
Yeah, he wrote a fiction book, which, let me see if I can find this. Hold on. I can't find it, but there's like, in the interview, he was like,
Hey, pods.
hey, he was like, this the book is fiction, but it's based on real things from the Department of Defense and the this or that. And then he was like, I was approved to say that exact sentence, those words. And that's all he says about it. So, like, it's a fiction book about alien technology that he was approved to say that it's based on certain things. And, like, I feel like this is all just...
Like a Blair Witch campaign or like a Cloverfield type thing with alt marketing.
And he had enough money to pay off Hillary Clinton, which, like... you just have to have enough money to pay off Hillary Clinton. Like
she'll
viral
do that
marketing,
for $50, bro.
Yeah, viral marketing. She's like, dude, I'll tie someone to fucking train tracks for
for a quarter.
Dude, I'll get Donald Trump to be the president. Oops, too soon.
Oof, that low hanging fruit.
Just the facts. Barney and Barney Hill were an American couple that were supposedly abducted by extraterrestrial beings in 1961. Their story became the first widely publicized alien abduction case. I thought this was an episode about the Flintstones. Fuck this.
I thought this episode was about Benny Hill.
Nope, Betty and Barney Hill, the
So close.
quintessential American couple.
Quintessential is right.
What was it? Betty was a social worker. Barney was
A black man. I mean, a postman.
Jesus, Craig.
They make points. They specific. Some of these things that they show, like
Who's they? Who's they? Black people?
No, narrators.
Yeah, everybody that covers this makes a big point of they were an interracial couple.
But it is pretty important for the time.
It was 1961 that they were
There
abducted.
was only a few states that even allowed that kind of marriage, which is really odd to all of us living in 2017.
Because it was not that long ago.
I mean, this is the 55th anniversary or 56th anniversary of the abduction.
Fucking crazy. Like, how ignorant.
Half a century to the point where, like, you couldn't get married if you loved somebody just because they're a different color.
But no, as far as we know, they were a fantastically happy, great couple. Their family was totally cool with it. Their community was cool with it. They were very active in a Unitarian church.
They were both members of the NAACP.
Barney sat on a local board of like a U.S. Civil Rights
Council.
Board or council, commission, whatever.
Commission. They commissioned councils.
They commissioned pictures of Sam and Dean making out from Ed Warren.
They commissioned
They commissioned a picture of the Ephraim, a hot desert road of tears from Carmen Snedeker.
I thought they were all commissioning university athletic logos.
That too.
Yeah.
So I guess they were relatively credible. I don't understand why like your profession makes you credible, but
I think it just means they were respected people in their communities, and that's also another point because most places in 1961 interracial couple would be completely ostracized and not considered respectable members of the community.
Yeah, apparently they lived in a pretty progressive town, and that's awesome.
I mean, it was New Hampshire. New Hampshire is probably like the most progressive town. The whole state's a town. It's like 5 miles long.
We take kindly to your folk around these parts.
We take kindly.
I am a robot.
See right here, you could just cross in and out of Canada and New Hampshire with no problems, no border checks. We trust everybody.
Yeah, they lived in Portsmouth,
New Hampshire.
New Hampster. I got a new hamster.
Fuck it, name it a state.
That's the quality of jokes you get for free, motherfucker. Deal with it. Subscribe.
It's now a state.
Subscribe. 5-star ratings on iTunes, please.
I've been in New Hampshire once or twice.
So in the fall of 61, September to be precise, Betty and Barney took a vacation up into Canada.
Yeah. Now, what's weird is the destination changes depending on what site you're reading to get the information from. I've read Niagara Falls and Toronto. I've read Montreal, and I've also heard it was an on the spur of the moment vacation where they had less than $300 in their pocket.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they went to Montreal and Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls is Toronto, isn't it? Or no?
It's about 2 hours away from Toronto on the
Yeah,
same area. The problem is Niagara Falls, they would go straight west through New York into Canada, and Montreal, they would go straight north into Canada. So it's probably about a 8-hour drive from Niagara Falls to Montreal.
Okay.
It's odd. There's no way on a spur of the moment they went to Niagara Falls and then they fucking drove. They drove in a fucking star map triangle.
Yeah, they took Betty's star map route.
Holy future in the future.
We'll get there. Regardless, they took a vacation to Canada, and apparently they had to leave early. They left a few days early because there were hurricane warnings.
They ran out of money.
And there were warnings. They wanted to get back home, make sure everything was tightened up in case a hurricane came to town.
And they forgot the dog food.
They brought their dog Delcy
Yes.
along with them. Delcy, was it a little dachshund or a wiener dog or a...
Yeah, it was like something like that. It looked like like some kind of toy dog.
I want to pretend it's a corgi. I know it wasn't, but I want to pretend it was.
I mean, it's possible that it was a mix between a corgi and a dachshund.
You know what? They changed their story so many times. I can change what type of dog they had. It was a fucking corgi.
Dude, if you went 2.5 years in between recollections... You know what? Never mind.
So they were headed back to New Hampshire, driving along this long, lonely stretch of road, woods on either side.
That would be U.S. Route 3 through Vermont to New Hampshire.
Was it?
Yep.
Okay.
North or south of road.
And Betty saw some lights in the sky.
Yeah, at first Barney was like, it's probably a commercial airliner or something. And then it started moving weird, and they described it as an erratic moving star.
Yeah, Betty was like, it's a UFO. It's one of them there alien ships there.
And he's like, now, Betty, I keep telling you,
it's an airplane.
Your sister is poisoning your mind. You've been into the books and into the UFOs for the past few years, and I had it up to here, Betty. That is not a dang UFO. That is something else.
Apparently her sister had seen a UFO a few years before or whatever. Well, supposedly they kept seeing it, and she was just like, Barney, please get out of the car, get a better look at it. Delcy needs to take Delcy for a walk anyway. She gotta go pee.
So he goes to the trunk and grabs his handgun because bears.
Yeah, apparently he's afraid of bears. He's like, what if a bear comes out? I better get my gun.
This is the first time I'm going to call bullshit because that little pea shooter he has would not take down a bear.
A bear, right?
Yeah. So you need a shotgun or a big rifle to take care of a bear. Just saying. What he really had that gun for, which I guess makes sense to say it's for bears.
White people.
White people that
White
want them
people.
dead. Because they are mixed.
And damn, people are just so fucking ignorant. That's why the aliens don't
But that
come
was,
here.
I think that was very clever to just be like, yeah, it was for bears. No, it was for personal protection. Let's just put it at that. And that's okay with me, actually. I call bullshit on the bear thing, but it's okay with me because I understand. I empathize. I don't sympathize. Or is it the other way around? I sympathize. I don't empathize because I can't experience that. Is that right? I'm
Craig's
right.
like, fuck, I'm
right?
just going to stop talking.
That's right, though. I have it the right way.
I'm not racist. Just as long as we all understand that, we're cool.
I mean, I'm not, but, whatever, man.
So Betty pulls out the binoculars, and she's looking at it through the binoculars, and she's like, Barney, you got to look through the binoculars. I swear it's a flying saucer, just like my sister saw.
It's weird.
So he looks through the binoculars, and he's like, it's just a plane.
There's a plane.
And supposedly, I guess, then suddenly it changed direction without looking like it turned around.
Yeah, drop down, increase speed, reverse direction.
So he was like, ooh.
Drop down, increase speed, reverse direction.
Well, that's weird. So they got back in the car. They kept driving. Eventually, it came out and, hovered above the car, 100 feet above the car. Apparently, Independence Day-ing the shit, filled their entire field of vision.
And that's when Barney was like, okay, Betty, you're right. I'm going to do it as Barney Rubble. Oh, Betty, you're right. How about some Fruity Pebbles? Let's get out of here.
Their feet were sore from a long day of driving.
And Dino was in the car, too. I mean, Dulce? Who? What was the name of the dog?
Wait, did
The real dog, Betty and Barney Hills.
Oh, I was like, did Betty and Barney Rubble have a dog?
No, they had
I know that the Flintstones had a
That is
saber-toothed
so
cat.
wrong.
They had a
Bam
dinosaur.
Bam is working on his anger issues.
Yeah, they had a hoposaur. They had the hoppy kangaroosaurus.
Oh, that's right. It was like, meh, it's all living.
Yeah. No, that was everybody else.
That was all the other animals
I think
that were
he boxed.
tools.
Stereotype. Not all kangaroos are boxers.
You're right. That's not a commercial plane, Betty. We gotta get out of here. And then he like hightailed it off. They just start kicking their feet really fast, making the car run.
Apparently, they stopped the car. Barney got out of the car,
Again,
used
weird.
the binoculars, and was able to see in through like the front window. There was like a big front window, and he noticed about 10 humanoid figures, all wearing like glossy black suits and hats, and
Because they were spiffy dressers.
apparently all of them except for one of them went away to like look at something on the wall, and I guess the one that was still standing there looking at him like telepathically told him like, yo, stay there real quick, I'm about to go look at this thing on the wall that they're looking. I don't want to be left out. I want to see what they're looking at on the wall over there. So
Yo, I'm
just
on the
real
board
quick-
too. We're all deciding when Pam's gonna have the baby.
No, I guess he just said like, stay there, and Barney was like, he hopped back in the car, eyes wide, frightened, and looked at Betty and yelled, "It's Champ!"
You're dead.
No, he was like, they're going to capture us. Got in the car, pedal to the metal. They started hauling ass out of there.
Steve McQueen music starts playing. We're watching the movie Driver.
And next thing you know, it's the trailer for Cars 3.
Ah, shit.
No, they kept driving.
I thought for sure it'd be Bullet.
And then suddenly there was this like super like this intense beeping, and the car was shaking. It felt like the beeping was like hitting the trunk, according to them.
Basically like any other alien abduction movie you've seen in the past 10 years. That sort of thing. Beeping, shaking, bright flashing lights.
Well, apparently this was right after like the Russian dude went to space or something, and so the beep, like it had been broadcast and there was beeping in the shuttle. So beeping was like associated with space at this time,
Yeah,
It still is because of that.
because of that.
And just like the whole car started like shaking, the noise was reverberating. They suddenly started tripping balls, man.
Vibrations. There was a lot of vibrations. It was just vibrating.
Bad vibrations.
Talking about bad vibrations.
And then they immediately passed out.
It's a sweet sensation. I'd pass out too. Okay, now when they came to, they realized that they weren't in the same spot they were in.
Some accounts say they had a similar sensation with the beeping and the vibrating and the glaive and when they came to.
Yeah, they had a similar one, like they were being put back into their place.
But some accounts, I think that they just sort of eventually came to and were like, oh.
Oh, I'm driving.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 35 miles south of Lancaster
They're
now.
going to say, oh, I'm 35. I hate my job. I'm married to this white woman that won't stop talking about aliens.
I finally woke up.
I'm woke.
They rushed home because they were just tired. They wanted to get the whole experience. Well, Barney did. Betty didn't really.
Apparently, they didn't realize this till later, but like 2 hours had passed.
Yeah, they said that it was supposed to be a 4-hour trip and or 4.5 hours, and it took like 7 hours for them to get home. They had arrived home 7 hours from when they left.
Well, that's unheard of.
That's unheard of. You lost 2 hours.
What, on a long trip from Canada to New Hampshire? That's unheard of.
Yep, losing 2 hours.
Back roads in the middle of the night.
Unheard of.
Anyway,
There's no way you got lost.
So they get home and they were both feeling weird and like acting weird for reasons they couldn't explain, or so the story goes.
Yeah, exhausted, dizzy.
Betty insisted that they not bring their luggage inside and leave it on like the back porch. And Barney's like, why? And she's like,
Just trust me.
Barney's shoes were all scuffed up and they didn't know why.
It's
Betty had this,
not even respectable. Like,
she had a favorite dress or something, and it was like there was some pink powder on it and it was inexplicably torn. She hung it in the closet and then didn't touch it at all for like 2 years, and then didn't touch it again after that for like 40.
4 more years. 4D more years.
40.
She's like, oh my God, it's the 90s now. I'm going to revisit my dress. Look at this. The rip is exactly the same as it was 40 years ago.
I still got it, don't I, Barney? Barney died 30 years ago.
Oh, now I'm sad. Yeah, it was really weird. Their watches didn't work either.
Yeah, that's just inexplicable. I wonder if they, like, all these sites are like, their watches never worked again. And I'm like, okay, they never worked again. Well, a few questions. Did they, A, replace the battery?
Nope, it was the 60s.
B,
1 battery, 1 watch.
Go to a watch repair shop?
Oh, well, that's valid.
Like, if you didn't do either of those things, like, no, okay, cool. I'd just throw out my watch and get a new one, too. I ain't going
personally,
through all that.
but I could say that didn't work again.
If you didn't do either of those 2 things, then I don't give a fuck that your watch never worked again. That's not mystical.
Because you didn't try. That's why.
Yeah. You didn't stop to see if something would make it work again.
But some reason their entire car was super magnetic as well.
Barney, for some reason, felt compelled to go to the bathroom and inspect his genitals.
My genitals are feeling all weird.
Betty's like, no, he does that every night.
Yeah.
And he didn't see anything unusual, but he was just like, man, I gotta go inspect my junk.
And he was like, all right, well, genitals check out. Something feels weird. I'm feeling oddly compelled to go to my car. Oh, it's magnetic. Their car was like, something weird about their car. It was like all magnetic. And
there were like circles or spots on the back of the car.
Right. So they decided they're going to grab compasses.
Betty did.
Betty had the idea to use the compass, or did she get it from her sister?
I don't know. Betty was like, we got to use the compass. And Barney's like,
why? And Betty was like, shut up, Barney.
The car's makes it's probably just being weird, Betty. Like, she's like, no, look, the compass is going crazy when you put it by the spots, and then it stops when you move it away.
Oh, God dang it, Betty.
So Betty reported the sighting to the Air Force Base, the local Air Force Base, and
yeah, her sister definitely told her. The first person she contacted was her sister.
Okay.
And her sister was like, you should definitely report it because it's 1961 and we all still blindly trust the government.
Those were her exact
words. Those were
words.
exact words. It's weird. She was like, why did you say that other part about
Barney,
it? Like, why wouldn't I trust the
Barney
government?
laughed.
He was like...
He was like, bears, I tell you.
I tell you, all those bears out there.
Just got to watch out for bears. The government, sure, but bears...
Bears, yeah. I mean, I'm deathly afraid of the bears. Anyways, yeah, so she contacted the Air Force Base and reported her sightings, but she wanted to make sure she didn't sound too crazy and eccentric, so she held back some key details. Basically just reporting an incident to Major Paul W.S. Anderson.
Paul F. Tompkins?
No, I was thinking of the guy that does the Resident Evil movies. Paul Henderson.
And I was just thinking of the comedic legend,
And
Paul F. Tompkins.
You were thinking of somebody better. And to his credit, Major Paul Henderson said, yes, ma'am, I can confirm there was definitely an unidentified object in that airspace at that time. 9er, Ace, Delta, Okra. And she was like,
well,
sweet. And then I'm over here like, bullshit.
Yes.
There's no way a government official would admit that to a civvy.
Well, what happened was, I guess he concluded that they saw Jupiter in the sky, but regardless, like, Project Blue Book was going on then, where the government was investigating UFOs, and this did get reported to Project Blue Book.
Right, and if it had immediately been reported directly to the Air Force, they would have been sniped on the spot.
It was reported, though, as well as 2 other incidents. And I want to harken back to something I said in the last episode where, like, these paranormal investigators and ufologists and stuff, they cite stuff and they hope you don't actually look into the specifics of it and call them on their bullshit because...
Right. And again, this worked much better pre-internet.
Yeah, the 2 completely different report. Well, even now on the internet, no, it still works because people can just look it up and be like, "Oh, yep, there's a report. Yep, I'm not going to look deeper. I'm not going to think about this."
La 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 la. I found the answer I wanted.
One was 82 miles southeast of Indian Head, where they saw the UFO. It's like a mountain.
Yeah, I don't like the name of the mountain. honestly. There's something weird about it.
The other one was 40 miles north of Indian Head, about 7 hours before their sighting. So that doesn't corroborate their sighting.
And when I hear this, all I can think of is the Mothman had a 100-foot wingspan or a 7-foot wingspan.
It looked like a man mixed with a moth, mixed
Or like
with
an
a
owl.
saucer.
It's an owl.
It's the sandhill crane.
Sandhill crane. Sorry, Flora.
Supposedly, after that, she went to the library. She borrowed a UFO book written by one Donald E. Kehoe.
Oh, yeah. She just went, well, she didn't just borrow a book. She went ham on UFO books in the library, but I guess there's only like 3 because, it was like the 60s.
1961.
Early 60s. And she was like, there wasn't any reported sightings yet, so.
Oh, there was. And Donald A. Kehoe, the head of NICAP, the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena,
Donald Heho.
wrote all about them. Supposedly, the story really picks up about 10 days later, 10 days after the encounter. Betty has these weird, vivid dreams over the course of 5 nights in which she worked as security at a pizza joint. And,
Ooh.
but that's just a theory. A game theory.
Oh, my God. I'm a Matt Pat fan, too.
No, she had these
It was a Freddy Fazbars.
She had these weird dreams that were in like complete random order, but she wrote them down and rearranged them afterwards so that they formed a narrative.
It's really weird that these dreams came almost immediately after she started reading all about the UFOs.
Is it though?
No.
No.
That was me being facetious.
Damn, you called me on my bullshit. I'd never make it as a ufologist.
A ufologist.
Fool of Tagan. So,
Ageist.
in her dreams, they supposedly encountered this roadblock and a bunch of men surrounded their car. Now, we didn't mention this, but when they tried to remember what happened during their missing time on the drive, like before the dreams, all they could think of was that they encountered a roadblock at some point and they saw a floating red like orb. And that's it. They could just these foggy memories of that. But then in her dreams, that's when it became a little more detailed. They encountered the roadblock. A bunch of men surrounded their car.
Oh.
She passed out, but had this she struggled to regain consciousness, realized she was being...
Fought against all the odds and regained that consciousness.
Yeah, when you're struggling to regain consciousness?
Yeah, I've been there all the time when I get knocked out and I'm like, don't you dare fall asleep.
Gotta wake up.
Ooh.
She realized that they were escorting her forcefully through the forest in the middle of the night. Barney was walking behind her as if in a trance, but when she yelled to him, he wouldn't respond.
His eyes were wide shut.
Whoa. They walked up a ramp into the spaceship, and then the aliens separated them from each other. She was like, "No, I don't want to. No, don't separate
me." For my eyes to be open.
She protested, but their leader was like, look, if we examine you two together, it's going to take twice as long.
You're going to be talking to each other. You're going to be raving about the food. You want to set up your Instagram blogs. No, we're just going to separate you guys and individually talk to you.
Get this over with. Get you guys back home.
But why do you have purple lips?
Do you think... No, wait. Did Delcy get taken into her own separate room? The dog? The wiener dog? The cute little corgi?
The dog was left. They were like, you're too smart to fall for this shit. You stay in the car.
There's this in... Cosmos? The Carl Sagan series?
Yes.
He
Fuck
said that like
dude,
Carl
by the
Sagan.
way.
Yes.
Fuck that dude, by the way.
I do. Carl Sagan? Fuck Carl Sagan?
Yeah.
What?
Fuck that dude. He's a dick.
What?
He's too skeptical.
Carl Sagan's... What?
I think he's too skeptical.
Carl Sagan's the shit, dude. Too skeptical.
I guess we agree to disagree.
What? He marvels at the beauty of the universe.
I love the universe. I am Carl Sagan.
He sounds kind of like Kermit.
Grandpa? Is that you, Grandpa?
No, he sounds like Kermit. If you close your eyes when he talks, you can picture Kermit the Frog.
That's the only reason why you're attached to this
Kermit
man.
the Frog here. The
Carl
universe is
Sagan
full
here.
of billions and billions of stars. Well, in an episode of Cosmos, he debunks the Betty and Barney Hill story, and there's a little bit of a dramatic reenactment of their story while they're in the car and getting
You mean
abducted.
a dramatic over reenactment?
Over reenactment.
Dude, I think he there were a couple things that he was just like too coincidental.
But there's this whole scene where Betty and Barney get out of the car in a trance and walk towards the ship. They leave their doors open, and Dulcie, the little corgi, it's not a corgi, it's like a dachshund.
The corgi ducks.
Jumps out of the car and it's like, oh, and watches them walking away. And I'm like,
Betty remembered that in a nightmare?
what? Well, no, that was just the reenactment. But what did happen to Dulcie? Did Dulcie stay in the car?
Yeah, because they probably closed the doors.
Yeah, if so, did the aliens roll down the windows a little bit? If not, you're not that advanced, you fucking dick bags. You
Listen,
fucking chode suckers.
it was
you
September.
Fucking douche eggs.
It was September in New Hampshire in the 60s. The temperature was perfect. So
Bears.
it wouldn't be a hot... Yeah, that's why you need to roll the windows up so the bears don't get into the car. Temperature was fine.
We all know
bears
bears are experts with the coat hanger.
No, this is why you don't leave parked cars with picnic baskets inside.
So on the ship, the aliens separate Betty and Barney. Barney goes off his own way, and they bring Betty into this room.
Yeah, that makes sense, that they would keep them separate.
I don't know, does it?
I kind of, if they're together, they're like, nah, these two are just fooling around. They're just being a young couple
They'll
of
stage
kids.
a coup.
Yeah, mutiny. There you go. They're gonna mutiny against their captors.
I don't know. Does it make sense? I'm not going to say it doesn't, but does anything about this make sense?
I mean, there's holes, but there's some stuff going on,
Well, we'll get to it at the end.
Yeah.
So this dude comes in who she calls the examiner because he's there to examine her.
Oh, that's an appropriate name. I'm glad he wasn't called the executioner.
Examiner? I barely... Oh, I actually have to examine her. Oh. Oh.
I barely touched it.
Okay. Put that joke in the back pocket for later.
For later. She said she was being poked and prodded at with tools. They examined her legs.
Yeah, he cut locks of her hair to
And-
keep and clip clippings of her nails.
Toenails and skin flakes.
Pretty
She was
gross.
scraping shit off with a quote unquote dull knife, like a quote unquote letter opener.
Very weird. Supposedly, though, he was really friendly and soothing,
that's good.
and reassuring. But I guess whereas the other aliens spoke with pretty well speaking of the English, unlike me.
Commands.
Yeah.
English.
This guy
Good.
had poor control over the English.
Well, that's because he was supposed to focus on being nice to examining. We're terrible at English today.
But he's really warm and reassuring and friendly, which is in stark contrast to his behavior as he pulls out a giant needle and he's like, yeah, I'm going to have to shove this needle in your belly button now.
Yeah, it's going in your belly button. We're going to get all those juices in there. Just think of it like
She's like, oh, no,
I'm drawing
no,
blood from a weird place.
Well, he says it's a pregnancy test, which is she's like, no, it's cool. I'll just pee on this thing. I have pregnancy tests in the car. We're good. On Earth, we have more advanced technology.
But are we sure in the 60s? Are you sure the pregnancy test in the 60s wasn't just a doctor punching a lady in the stomach?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I don't know. They do something with a needle. Amnio something.
Yeah, they're... You know what? I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to try to pretend to know this.
When she gets to this in the hypnotic regression, we'll talk about that in a little bit. A few years later, they went into hypnotic regression because neither of them could remember anything about this. This is just from her dreams.
Which we all know how dreams are. They can be wild.
Yeah, but she just remembered what exactly happened, apparently. But it's kind of horrifying to listen to her. It is really convincing. She's crying, and she's like, no. And I tell him, no, it's going to hurt. And he says, it's not going to hurt. Don't worry. And I'm like, no, it is. You're about to shove a fucking needle in my...
I told
Don't
you.
fucking do that.
It did hurt.
And it's really uncomfortable to listen to. And then I guess he does, and it does hurt. And she's like, fuck. And he's like, oh shit, it hurts. And the leader comes up and he's like, oh shit. And he waves his hand over her face.
Ah, a memory wipe.
And then she's cool. And then it doesn't hurt anymore. And she's like, oh, word. Why didn't you just do that at the
In the
first
beginning,
place?
yeah.
Just in case. I told you it was going to hurt. Why the fuck nobody listens to me? You're just like Barney.
I'm just the examiner. I don't know anything about human.
Try telling Barney it's a UFO. And he's like,
empathy.
no, not a UFO. I try to tell you, no, it's going to fucking hurt. You stick the needle in my belly button.
As soon as they got everything they wanted from her, she got up and had a little walk and chat with the quote-unquote leader.
That's after getting a needle shoved in your belly button. I would not be doing any walking.
Yeah, I mean, it's just test samples, you know.
It's a pregnancy test. I'm not pregnant. It's cool. Like, why?
I
take
just
my
had
word
my
for it.
period. Barney, help. Tell them.
We don't have sex. We've been married for years. So she took a walk? You're saying they let her just walk around the ship?
With the leader, kind of like he brought her to an area to have a conversation.
Oh, yeah. They went back to like his ready
private
room.
quarters. He had a bottle of Merlot. He says, I hear this is what you earth women like.
Puts on some music to get her in the mood. But
I
it's,
also
it's
hear
just
this
like,
is what you earth women like.
It's Skrillex. Way too early. It's the 60s and he's just playing like proto-industrial dubcore.
And then there's
wave.
one of the aliens right down the one door over on the ship. He has on the phone. He's like, hey, Skrillex, remember that sound you were looking for? Listen to this.
Oh my God.
His cousin Skrillex.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he brings her in, and they're just hanging out, and she sees this book with all these weird symbols in it, and she's like, oh, this book's fire.
Yo, you got to get me in on this.
She's trying to fit in with Skrillex in his crowd. And
Please, Betty.
he's like, yeah, you like
you
that?
are not cool enough.
You like that book? And she's like, yeah, this book's fucking awesome. And he's like, yeah, you like it? You can have it.
Oh.
She's like, say word.
What?
And he's like, don't even trip, dog. You can take it back home with you. And she's like, that's so cool. Thank you so much, Mr. Alien Dude.
Don't even trip, dog.
And she was like, word is bond. So he says she can take the book with her. And so she's like, where do you guys come from? And he's like, And he pulls down a star map, I guess. But it's...
From all the accounts I saw, it was almost kind of like a holographic
Yeah, she
thing.
said he pulled it down. Like, I don't know. Like
She
like an
just
overhead projector?
Pulled down the overhead. She pulled down the curtain, the projector screen, and then he puts on the projector, and it's just this hologram, and it doesn't even have anything to do with the projector screen.
Yeah,
it's just there for backdrop.
Which is what's so weird about this is how much outdated technology. Like, the aliens would have a lever. Like, supposedly we didn't mention it, but they saw one of the guys pull a lever before they, like, abducted them when they were looking through the windshield.
Oh, yeah, clearly now it would be a button.
Well, yeah, why would they need a lever? Like, that's so Industrial Revolution era technology. That a giant needle into your belly button to find out if you're pregnant. Like,
maybe it's like the aliens did this this mind thing to make them see them doing that, because that makes sense to them for that time.
Yeah.
But if they're also studying them to see what these people are, do they know that information about them?
And then, of course, the pulling down the overhead project. There's no reason, if someone had Tony Stark map technology,
yeah,
that they would have there's no reason to have that thing. And a book. Why don't they have a Kindle?
What? Oh, yeah? If they're so smart, how come they're still using a Palm Pilot?
Gene Roddenberry hadn't invented them yet.
Oh.
So they're like, all right, you know what? You guys can go. We're cool. Thanks for chilling. It's been real. I don't want to kick you out or anything, but I do got to get up early tomorrow. So
Yeah. Oh, wait, did we mention with the star map, like he pointed out a few points on the map that were supposed to be other stars or planets, and it almost kind of made like a triangle.
She reproduced it later. She drew a picture.
Yes.
But
there were points connecting on the map.
Some circles, some dots, and lines connecting them. And it's just so weird to me because it's a 3-dimensional map. What good is
How do you turn it 2D?
Yeah, what good is her drawing a 2D version of it in the first place? It just reeks to me of somebody that doesn't understand how a star map would work.
Maybe, now hear me out. Maybe she actually did draw it in 3D, and you just need the glasses to see it.
Okay,
The 60s 3D glasses.
They hadn't invented them yet. She's like, you need the alien glasses in order to see this.
They had 3D alien glasses.
Where are the glasses, Betty? I simply cannot believe it.
Just go to the local matinee.
So the leader's like, I'm sure you guys are tired. I'm not trying to kick you out or anything. I mean,
So I go, actually, I could chill.
yeah. I mean,
I can have another beer.
I do got to get up early though. I mean, we could have one more, but I do.
Oh, that's fine. I'll do it quick. Can I use your phone?
So the Hills are leaving. They walk him out of the ship. As they're leaving, I guess the leader runs back out after him, and he's like, "Oh shit!
Hey guys, wait! You forgot
hold
your
on."
cell phone.
No, he's like, "You know what? Actually, never mind. I got to keep the book."
I ran it across my superiors.
No, not even
They
his
said
superiors.
no.
The people underneath him, the rest of the crew. This is like the leader of the ship, and he's straight up like, the rest of the crew thinks it's better if you guys forget everything that happened to you, so I got to take the book back. Because if you had the book, you'd be like, where'd I get this book? And Betty's like, what the fuck, dude? You just gave me this book.
The hell? So I think this is what happens. Like, so one of the other crew members are like, oh, so they're bouncing. Sweet, we can like get back to our normal thing now. He's like, yeah, I gave him this book, and he's like, what?
You gave her the fucking... What the fuck?
We're gonna wipe their memories.
You dumb shit. What do you think she's gonna think when she has this weird alien? Go out there and get it back from her.
Oh, it's okay. It's symbols, and she doesn't get it. She just likes pictures.
Half of those symbols look like they're letters anyway.
Are you kidding me? That's the easy step method to destroy our society.
I told you shouldn't keep that book laying around your fucking...
Not even in the office. Not even in your personal collection. We need to burn this book.
Matter of fact, why are we still printing books on paper?
We have
it's a
this
hologram
3D
book.
technology.
So they go back to their car. The aliens are like, wait here and watch the ship leave. So they do. They chill. They watch the ship leave, and then they drive away. And in her dreams, that's what happened. Like we said, she dreamed them in all sorts of weird order and then shuffled it and put it back in the right order.
Right. In reality, 2 hours later, they were 35 miles south.
Yeah, bad. That's not a good time.
That is terrible time.
They got home late, yeah.
They missed Maury.
So 1 year after the event, in 1962, they apparently had been making several trips back to the area, trying to like shake the memories loose. And
Yeah, they figure if they see it enough times, it'll come back to them in a spark.
yeah, just having this urge to figure it out. And also, unsuccessfully, I might note, trying to find the spot where they saw the floating red orb. You know how in their memories they remembered this
orb in front of them, yeah.
And,
it was going all over the place, and it was like a long, far ways away. Then it was right up on them,
and what do you call it? Blockade.
roadblock.
Roadblock, yeah. The easiest thing to call it.
Blockade.
A block in the road,
God,
a roadblock.
but if it was a blockade, but it was like 2 centuries later.
They never found the spot where they supposedly saw the orb. Do you think the point of that is like that was like memories that the aliens put in their brain to like cover up what really happened?
Possibly. I guess. What, the orb, or just them trying to find it?
Maybe the roadblock with the cops or the men that surrounded their car was a false memory that the aliens put in there.
Yeah, to make them see like, oh, well, you were late because
really what like
you got
this
held
is,
up with traffic.
Like maybe their brain is not going to let go of the fact that a bunch of people just took them from their car and pulled them on a spaceship. So they made a fake memory that said there was no spaceship, there was just a roadblock, and then a bunch of regular old dudes, police officers, took you out of your car. When really what happened was a spaceship came down and they came out and took them out of their car. And they're like, well, the brain won't be able to completely let go of it. So let's make up some bullshit and put that in their mind and hope that that
sticks, yeah.
convincing enough to their brain. And then maybe the red orb was their brain being like, no, I swear there was some weird flying light.
Oh, so you're saying the
thingy.
red orb wasn't really there, but they're putting
know.
it there.
That's sort of my interpretation of. I'll bury. Okay,
The
we all
brain's
know that I'm really
weird.
skeptical about this, and I don't think this happened. So I don't actually think any of this happened. But
Man,
in
you laid the
canon-
book down right now. Come on, you jumped the shark.
in canon of this story, in canon of Betty's story, I think that that's what this was intended to be, but I don't know. That's kind of what I take from it. If this was true and this all happened, that was this
That
weird...
makes sense. It's either that or it was a real thing that was kind of like casing them.
Right, they encountered a roadblock after the abduction.
I don't
They
know
were
about the
just all
roadblock.
dazed.
I think that could be a real false memory. That makes sense. I'm just talking about the orb thing. Instead of the orb thing being like one of those reminders, hey, that's not what happened.
It was Rudolph.
Yes.
And apparently, like, just 8 weeks or so after the encounter, they, like, returned home from one of these trips one day to find a pile of leaves on their kitchen table, and amongst the leaves, the earrings that she was wearing the night of the encounter.
Oh, she lost the earrings?
Apparently, she didn't remember losing them, but
She didn't remember losing them. She didn't remember having them.
Right, and then she was like, "Oh yeah, these were the earrings."
Yeah.
Those were... So, I guess these aliens these aliens are creepy. They saved clippings of her hair and her toenails and shit. And
Are you
then
sure
they
this wasn't just from the movie?
while she was gone, they came in and they're like, "I know where you live. I left a note. Here's
Just so
your
you know,
earrings."
if you try to go public about this, I know where you live.
I wouldn't found your earrings. I looked in the woods for 5 hours to find these earrings.
Sorry I scuffed your shoes, Barney.
Sorry about the leaves. I have really big hands. I had to pick it all up in a pile.
I like to imagine, though, that they walked in and then Betty's like, see, it's proof. There was aliens. These are the earrings I was wearing. And Barney's like, oh, that's where I left the leaves and earrings. There's no aliens. I just forgot I put that there. Aliens, come on. Do you realize we're an interracial couple in the 60s? We can't go public about this. So you said that was a year later, 1962.
Yes.
Okay. A year after that.
What?
Yep, 1963.
We haven't even got that far yet in real time.
We have. We
It's
got there about
2017.
one of their friends had told them that they should seek like a hypnotist to try to remember their dreams and their encounter.
They saw a hypnotist in church was what happened. Those fucking Unitarian churches, man, I tell you.
Filled with hypnotists. Their church was like, yeah, aliens. Let's see them.
I can't imagine the church. Like, did your parents ever take you to church growing up?
Yeah.
I can't imagine that the church your parents went to would have a hypnotist come in.
Absolutely not.
That's so cool, though. That's so baller.
Yeah, they're like,
Like,
all right.
Mom, can we go to the church that has hypnotists come in?
The hypnotist was Dr. Benjamin Simon.
Ben Simon sounds like it's a good name for like a indie acoustic guitar singer, like singer-songwriter.
Ben Folds Simon.
Kind of like Conor Oberst, Ben Gibbard type. Like Ben, I guess, is just a good name
Ben's
for a
a
singer-songwriter.
Ben's a good folk singer name.
Ben Gibbard, Ben Lee, Ben Harper, Ben Folds 5, Ben
That's
Folds
5 of the
6,
Ben Folds.
Ben Folds 88.
Oh, there's too many Ben Folds. Too many folds, Ben.
Well, they're like IG88. They're all they're all the same consciousness.
They're like, hey, one's like, I'm doing the postal service. And the other one's like, that's Ben Gibbard.
Fuck, I can't keep this straight.
Ben Simon. Ben Simon is the one we want to talk about. He's a hypnotist. He was a skeptic himself. He thought that was a bunch of hooey.
Yeah, he didn't believe that it could possibly be aliens, but he did believe that they honestly believed that something happened.
Yes, so he wanted to help them and get to the bottom of what happened. So he was like, yeah, it wasn't aliens, but, it probably was one of those, like, weird gangs. So let's get to the bottom of this.
Those weird gangs.
Old man Jenkins, it was really you?
It was probably Team Plasma.
Oh.
So during the hypnotic regressions, Betty pretty much recounts like the same story of her dreams.
Just about,
She refines it though. It's like these hypnotic sessions were like a writer's workshopping session where she's like spitballing the thematic elements of the story. What's Act 3?
Oh, that makes sense. I was thinking maybe they did it because her saying it as it's happening in her dreams, her like recounting it then, is a much better way of recalling things than waking up and trying to remember the dream you had last night.
Maybe. I guess supposedly hypnotism can be really useful, but it's not what people really think it is. Like repressed memories don't actually...
Nathan, do you remember when I was a chicken? I'm a chicken, Nathan.
That's stage hypnotism. That doesn't actually work. That's all bullshit.
Really, hypnotism starts with just breathing.
Yeah, the stuff you see
relaxation.
where he's like, oh, you're a chicken. That's just charismatic stage presence and getting people to go along with you.
You're basically one step below a magician.
Yeah, no one's actually getting hypnotized. Just nobody wants to be the asshole that's up on stage that doesn't.
That's making
quack
him look like
a
an
chicken.
asshole, yeah.
Yeah, and then the whole audience is like, fuck you, I paid for the. Yeah, exactly. So we challenge you, go be that asshole. Go up on stage and be
Yes.
that asshole.
Make sure you Facebook Live it. And tag us.
Or even better yet, he'll be like, you're a chicken, and be like, it's gonna hurt. Don't put the needle in my stomach. Don't touch me again, Daddy.
Oh, Barney, he wants me to be a chicken.
So, real hypnotism, it can be used therapeutically to just like put you in this relaxed state. You wouldn't do anything that you wouldn't normally do. Like you're still you're still in control. You just get your mind to like this almost trance state, supposedly. I know that trance states exist. I've experienced them once or twice while meditating. So I guess I don't, it's just so hard for me to put myself into this idea that you can sit there, because supposedly it's real that they can suggest you're going to forget this conversation, and then you don't remember the conversation afterwards. Supposedly,
it's the power of suggestion, really, under a really relaxed state.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that has like trueness to it, but the whole idea of like repressed memories, that's all like Freud, and it was one of his mentors, Jean-Martin Charcot, was the first to propose it and like flesh out the whole thing. And like I guess back in his day,
there was a lot of cocaine use back then.
Well, they didn't know that. Yeah, that's true.
It's true.
You got a cold, cocaine.
Cocaine.
Sprain your ankle, cocaine.
You want a sip of Coca-Cola? Well, let's add cocaine to that.
Your wife's hysterical, fire hose, and give her some cocaine.
that cocaine ought to calm her down.
So they didn't know about concussions back then. They hadn't discovered concussions. So I guess one day, this dude was like wheeling around a wheelbarrow, and he got hit by a speeding carriage, like a horse and carriage, and he was sent flying. He was knocked unconscious, sent to the hospital for 6 months, partially paralyzed, suffering from constant headaches and seizures and nosebleeds, couldn't remember the accident. So Charcot concluded that it was such a horrific accident that this dude suppressed the memory.
It wasn't that because the concussion made him forget.
Yeah, he had a concussion, but he was like, no, it just must have been so horrific an accident that his brain was like, I don't even want to remember this, yo.
Margaret, we're going to need the leeches for this case.
Leech that memory out.
Then we'll put the leech into a pot of fire.
What are you going to do with that leech? Have you ever read Animorphs?
I was thinking, you
Open
put the
your ear.
You put the leeches in the pot of fire, and within the smoke, you see the memory.
Yeah, no, he really like said that he repressed the memory, and if you were to ask him, well, what about all the seizures and the nosebleeds, and that he said hysteria. It's just hysteria from him having okay. So
in conclusion, Betty was suffering from nosebleeds.
Yes, but that was all the cocaine they were doing back then.
The cocaine.
They did. It had a resurge in the 60s.
Yeah. I mean, and then in the 80s too. It just, they knew it was bad for you then.
So the main thing of note about these hypnosis sessions, about the
Shawshank Redemption,
about the Shawshank Redemption, is that Barney didn't remember anything that happened. He was just like, we saw an airplane. Like,
he was in denial.
I didn't
see really much. I mean, she was just having bad dreams. She was trying to make things up to explain a weird thing.
But then they put Barney under, and we finally get Barney's recollection of the events.
Just so you know, again, this is 2 years after the incident. They've had plenty of time to corroborate.
So I guess he had a very similar experience, except he didn't get it to go talk to the leader, because the leader was some sexist pig, and he's like, hey, Betty, don't worry, your husband's good. We're taking good care of him. Why don't you come to my office and we'll hang out a little bit? Because
he was trying to get it in
with all the wives that they fucking abduct.
Yeah.
Fucking scumbag.
But it turns out she just really wanted to look at a map, and he was like, I'm going to impress her by giving her this book.
Bitches love books.
Bitches love books.
So Barney kept his eyes closed through most of the exam.
Didn't they tell him that, like, hey, close your eyes if you're scared? He was just too scared. So he had his eyes closed. He was like, fuck this.
Oh, hamburgers. So I guess a cup-like device was placed over his junk.
Yikes.
You thought Betty's examination was invasive. Yeah, they placed a cup over his genitals. A tube was inserted into his anus and then quickly removed.
Oh, so they didn't... they were like, so this is how we extract the semen from the butt. And then while they're just like, no, this cup around your genitals, this is just for your pleasure to distract you while we get the semen from your butt.
You can get the semen from my genitals.
You can just, come on, man.
Don't be ridiculous, Earth Monkey.
Wait,
I meant Earth Monkey because you're human, not because you're... Oh, fuck. Oh, it's the 60s, too. I'm so sorry, dude. I swear to God I didn't mean it like that. We're not racist.
Because you're an Earthling.
I swear, yeah, no, we call all humans monkeys. Like, it's you guys are primates. Like, no, for real. Oh, fuck. No, I'm never going to live that one down. I don't blame you, dude. I'm sorry.
Enjoy this cup on your balls.
So yeah, it was a really
invasive,
traumatizing experience, and
he definitely screamed a lot during the recall.
And throughout the whole experience, he could hear somebody else in the room anxiously inquiring about when his turn was, who the aliens referred to as Al Snedeker.
And then he's like, "When is it my turn?" And they're like, "You'll be up soon." And he was like,
That's baloney.
So the main difference that came out of this, though, was that up until this point, Betty described the aliens as short men. She actually said they had Jimmy Durante noses, which, do you know who Jimmy Durante is? He has a big ol' honking
it's
nose.
similar to a caricature of a Nixon.
Yes,
nose.
Thank you. I was trying to think, what's a good cartoon character that, like, cartoon Nixon, or Nixon from The Watchmen.
Yeah.
Exactly like that.
Yeah, the Pinocchio nose. With the slick, almost like a greaser, right?
Huge nose. It's a far cry from no nose, which is how Barney described them, but actually two little slits. Big almond-shaped black eyes, big fat back of their head, but it comes to a skinny point at their chin. Basically the archetype which would become the Greys. So this was the first, as we said, this is the first like alien abduction case. People had been seeing UFOs all over in the decade or two previous to this.
Right, but nobody's been taken.
Nobody's been taken, and this is the first time that, up until this point, aliens looked like all sorts of different things. They either looked like humans, or they looked like crazy trolls, or they looked like weird Belagerschnaps monsters.
Yeah, which I would say that's just a mythical creature on Earth, not an alien.
Not an alien.
A Bargischknoll. Yeah.
I believe it was a real encounter, but it was not an alien.
I mean, have you ever been to Sweden?
are a
Trolls
wacko.
everywhere. Trolls everywhere in Sweden.
You're a wacko. I believe you encountered a troll, but you're a wacko for thinking it came from space.
Yeah.
You're
nut
nuts.
job.
But
Not
no,
enough to have a black sky.
It's interesting though, because up until this point, it was just a random mishmash of science fiction ideas. Weird, slimy tentacle monsters was probably the most popular motif for aliens.
Like,
Thank you, Lovecraft.
Or like almost a robot looking thing.
Yeah,
like,
or just straight up white people.
or people. Yeah. Just we're other humans, and really that was just because it was on
Budget
television,
constraints.
budget restraints. So like, well, we got to have somebody act it, and we can't create something like this.
But from this point on, Alien, the archetype, the mythological archetype for Alien, and don't take that as I'm not casting judgment on whether or not it's true or false. We discussed this in a previous episode. Mythology is not a judgment on whether or not it's factual.
Factuality.
But this became the archetypal alien.
They even retroactively made it that if you were to see things mimicking the 1947 Roswell incident, they were using, when they would put the alien in there for, they studied an alien.
Like the alien autopsy?
Yes. They made it look like a quote-unquote gray.
Yeah, it was on the
That
X-Files,
became it.
South Park, that was aliens, and it was all over the place.
I had a coffee
90s.
mug with an alien that looked like that on it.
I had
one
everything
point.
with that alien as a kid. I believed hardcore in those aliens as a kid.
Yeah, all over the gift shops, alien gift shops, and placed with alien activities.
And this was what kind of started it and kind of kicked it off. They were terrifying to him, very different. And after this, Betty would sort of change her description and
To fit his a little more.
yeah, suddenly the Jimmy Durante noses were gone and they had no noses.
They
and
still have purple lips.
no lips, I don't think.
No lips.
Just a slit for a mouth or something.
So how was that guy going to kiss up on Betty without no lips?
He took some from his last examination.
You know what I think would have been more believable is if they were almost wearing like a morphing shield and they just appeared to you as whatever you pictured them as.
Yeah, or I think more of the memories.
She wants to
the
see
false memories.
I mean, if she wants to see Jimmy Durante instead of a gray.
If we're gonna pretend this is all legit and like question what's canon, I'd say false memories. They implanted the false memories, but they can't just put a total false memory and be like, you guys never went to Toronto, you stayed home and watched cartoons, because their brains would reject it and be like,
No,
we
that's
remember
not.
going to
There's
Toronto.
too much happened.
We remember being traumatized, so they like layered it with false memories, and they layered it with like real people over their aliens, so like that would be more
Makes sense.
calming to them than remembering all these hideous beings from beyond the stars. Again, I think it's bullshit, but they
Yeah,
added
because the
big
aliens are
funny
like,
noses.
fuck you, I'm not hideous, you're fucking hideous.
That's why they all had Jimmy Durante noses, because they're like, we'll make them funny looking. Like,
Look at that
no.
nose.
in Barney's recollection, the noses was not the point of focus. It was the eyes. He would just go on and on about the eyes.
The eyes
Those-
are inside of him, right?
Those eyes, they're in my brain.
Oh,
They're in oh God, it's Champ.
Oh, that's Champ. Champ eyes. They look like peeled onions. Those eyes.
They look like peeled olives.
You, my alien-eyed guy. But honestly, I thought he had his eyes closed the entire time, so he didn't even see them.
He saw that he had his eyes closed during the examination.
Oh, he saw them shuffling him into the spaceship.
He has some other highlights, I think, from his hypnotic regression. Apparently, he described the ship as looking like a pancake.
So, a pancake? It's a three-dimensional thing.
Pancakes are in 3 dimension, Craig.
Yeah, but listen, it's more of like a croissant. Okay?
Yeah, their picture, it does look more like a croissant, huh? But either way, this all just goes to show that you should always eat breakfast before going to get hypnotized.
Absolutely. Also,
Everything I go to get hypnotized and just everything's waffles.
I'm not blaming him for it because come on down. I got the perfect place for you, Nathan.
The therapist is like, all right, we're going to take a break. We're going to get you some fucking waffles.
It's Funkin' Waffles.
And then we're going to try this again.
But what I was going to say is I don't really blame him because you know how many times people come in, go to ask for a waffle and say, I'll have that pancake? And I'm like, okay.
So you think the ship actually looked like a waffle?
It looked like a
He was
waffle
just
and he called it a
confused.
pancake.
They layered false memories of waffles. That's
And
all
he-
they have to do for me. It's just waffle over waffle over waffle. I'm like, I'm trying to remember, Craig, what happened on our way back from that trip to that con. And I just remember waffles. Did we stop at a diner?
No.
No, I don't remember a diner. I just remember waffles.
No.
Just a never-ending cascade
So-
of syrup.
So basically, in a nutshell, is he drew a croissant, said it was a pancake. It really was a waffle.
Another highlight, the aliens apparently were fascinated with his false teeth, his dentures. He would take them out and be like, clickety clack, clack, clack. And the aliens are like, what?
It's like dangling keys in front of a baby.
Look at what this dude can do, guys. Check this out. Come here.
He could take his mouth out.
He's just like those other aliens. Do you know the xenomorphs?
Do you know the hand mouth
Is that
people?
racist? I don't mean to imply you're all related because you're both black.
No.
Which is so weird to me because, like, I feel like Barney's like horrified this whole time. He's keeping his eyes closed during the exam. He's like horrified, and then he's like, "Guys, check this out." Like, what the fuck? Like,
The speaking is coming out of his hand now.
oh, hi there, Barney. How you doing, Barney?
That was his way of coping with a tough dilemma. He's like, well, if I can make them laugh, they're going to let me live.
Just like white people.
It's the 60s, just like, he has the dentures in his hand. He's like, make them laugh, make them laugh, make them laugh.
That's, I think, a problem with this story is depending on when they're telling the story, such a difference in tone. Like, in some tellings...
Between friendly and intimidating.
Yeah, like in some tellings, they're crying and they're like, this is the most horrific experience of my life. This is horrible. This is traumatic. Listening to them act it's chilling at times, and then at other times she's like, and I told the aliens this was the greatest experience of my life, and I know you're gonna make me forget, but I hope one day you return because I know some friends down here on Earth that would really love to meet you. And like,
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that, and I was like, wait, that what? That did not go. You did not say that. You're thinking back 30 years later onto that incident and saying that's how I feel now about then.
now that I'm famous.
Yeah, like you said, they're famous. They ended up going public with everything.
Barney died a couple years later.
Like
9 years later.
1969.
Yeah, 9 years later.
He had a brain hemorrhage.
Sad.
Unfortunate.
It's sad. Supposedly he was under a lot of stress and it really fucked with his health. And
I mean, have you ever tried working at the post office before FedEx and UPS? That was you. You were it. You were delivering things.
they didn't have drones. The aliens hadn't even invented a Kindle yet.
No, fuck that.
Aliens hadn't even invented buttons yet. They were still using levers.
But eventually, in 1975, a made-for-TV movie came out called The UFO Incident. And it starred James Earl Jones and Estelle Parsons as Betty and Barney Hill.
Have you watched it?
No.
I watched.
I saw a little bit. The whole thing's actually on YouTube if you want to check it out. I watched a little bit of it. I ran out of time. But, you know,
It's cool.
I watched some of it. It's fun to see James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones is just awesome.
Yeah, it's a little boring, but James Earl Jones is great. And it's great to see James Earl Jones and Delcy.
Yeah. And I mean, this is pre-Vader, so...
And he's just so frustrated, but he's like, "Oh, but I love you, Betty.
Oh, Betty, I love you.
I used to be. I used to. What did he say? Oh, I used to be careful, and then I fell in love with you.
That's so rude.
Least careful decision of my life."
And then I married a white woman.
No, that's what it was. He's saying he always likes to be careful, and she's like, "Well, you married me. That wasn't very careful, was it, or something?" And he was like, "I loved you too damn much to care about being careful, or something." I don't know.
Love
Such a sweetheart.
makes men careless. So true.
There's a Hallmark card for you.
Right? You can shoebox it even.
Yeah, it's this is what made them famous. I actually remember when I was a kid and I was so into alien abduction stories and UFOs and everything, my mom saying something like, maybe I was watching a program or reading a book about it, and my mom asking me if I knew who Betty and Barney Hill were, and I like shut the book or whatever. I'm like, hold up, Mom, you know who Betty and Barney Hill are? Hold on, Mom, maybe we can talk.
We can have a conversation about my interests.
You're all right. I like this. I like this chick.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you know who Betty and Barney Hill are, Mom? She's like, oh yeah, that was huge. Like when she was growing up, you know, it was all over the TV.
Yeah.
And I remember her being like James Earl Jones, you know, Mufasa, Darth Vader. He played Barney Hill. And I was like, what? Say word.
People might not realize it now, but thinking back, made-for-TV movies used to be a big thing. All of Stephen King's movies were made-for-TV movies. The Langoliers, the Tommyknockers.
Yeah.
I remember those were events I stayed up as a kid to watch, and that was even in the 90s. You know, and it was like something. The Stand was a TV event. But they used to have that. Nowadays, it's just a Lifetime or a Hallmark movie that's a made-for-TV movie. And they're terrible.
But Netflix.
And terrible.
Netflix.
That's different. Netflix original. I think it's different, though.
Yeah. Well, maybe because it's changing.
Maybe
the whole model is changing.
So yeah, now you got Netflix, Amazon. I mean, what you consider those original series are what these made-for-TV movies were back then.
Yeah.
And they were huge. Like
Stranger Things is like a Stephen King made-for-TV miniseries. It's just not based on a book.
All right, so we've told the tale. We've talked about the hypnosis. We got our temperatures earlier about aliens in general.
Yeah.
Now, Nathan, I want to ask, even though I have a feeling I know what you're going to say, so you kind of spilled the beans a little earlier, what's your hot take on this exact incident, this abduction?
What do you want first, Craig? The short answer or the long answer?
Okay, so short answer, blank with a but. Long answer, no, blank with an if.
Short answer, I think that Betty is full of shit, and Barney didn't want to say that on television.
Because he loved his wife.
Yes.
And he didn't want to be like, my wife's a fucking nut.
I think she got nuttier as she got older, and I think she was just originally just kind of full of shit. And I think that they saw a weird thing in the sky. She was freaking out about it being a UFO because she was all into these UFOs. Her sister saw a UFO. You know, maybe it's possible that they lost some time while they were driving. It was late at night. They're on back roads. They were rushing to get home, stressed. It's very possible they lost 2 hours of time, like just not knowing what's going on, groggy, tired, driving in the middle of the night.
Yeah, he was 8 years away from a brain hemorrhage and death, so he might have had like something happen.
And then she's freaking out when they get home, and she's doing that thing, and she's like, we lost the time, and we saw the thing in the sky. I swear it had something to do with it. And he's like, Betty, we didn't get abducted by fucking aliens, Betty. It just,
do you know what would happen
to the 2 hours?
If we went public with this? We can't go public with this. They will crucify us.
No,
Betty.
I don't think that maybe that's your take. My take was just that he was like, God damn it, no, it was just a plane. There was no aliens. We lost time because I don't know, we were tired.
But Major Henderson said...
She just kept going on about the aliens, and then she was having the dreams, and like maybe Betty was having a legitimate like spiritual type of experience that I shouldn't cast judgment on because
or maybe she was just having a psychotic break.
Or a psychotic break because my spiritual experiences seem pretty crazy, and if you think my spiritual experiences sound crazy, you should hear about my psychotic breaks. So...
Because I'm one step closer to the edge. I'm about to break. It's just mishmashing songs here.
Yeah, I think that she had an overactive imagination, and I think it's very possible that she kind of believed. Like, she believed like someone that really wants to believe. Like, someone that goes camping and sees something but it was probably just a bear. But they're like, no, dude, I saw Bigfoot. And like, they kind of believe, but you know that they are kind of fooling themselves too, you know? You know the type of people. We all know those people. Like,
I'm thinking of one right now. Betty Hill. So she is a Mulder. Hands down. She wants to believe, and she saw.
Okay, I guess that's true. Mulder's right, though.
Yeah, but that's because that's fiction.
Now give me the movie where James Earl Jones is married to David Duchovny.
Oh!
Yeah, I don't know. I think she was kind of playing along with herself.
So she kind of convinced herself that it was something, and then
was
Barney was just like, I love you. Always have.
Yeah, I'm not going to call my wife a liar on TV. Like, he's like, even if she's saying this stupid shit about aliens, he was like, I'm going to be a man about it and just stand by my wife and fine. If she wants to say we were abducted by aliens, I'll be like, I don't know what happened. I won't say no, we weren't. I'll just say, I don't know. I thought it was a plane, but maybe it was fucking aliens. I don't know.
I'll just give him a completely different story when I do the hypnosis.
Yeah, and then at that point, it had been 2 years, and he was so sick of it. He was like, yeah, it was fucking aliens. They had tentacles coming out of their butts. They were fucking...
They put their tentacles that came out of their butts up my butts.
That was his friend Al gave him that idea.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, when you go in for hypnosis next week... I know this story really happened, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but you should mention about the...
I almost think that's not fair. So you think that Betty is playing along with herself, and you think Barney's like, yeah, it didn't happen, but I love my wife.
Yeah, I do. And, okay, I will concede that there are scenarios that I do think could possibly explain this, in which would leave them not lying or playing along, but actually did experience something really crazy and weird. And I won't write that out. Like, I'm convinced Ed and Lorraine are liars.
Yes.
You know, I'm
Absolutely.
convinced that they're just straight up liars.
That's what I was going to come to with this. My interpretation is, do I think that they were abducted and this actually happened? Probably not.
A strong no, but
do I think that they thought it actually happened? Absolutely.
Absolutely?
Okay. I think Betty has 100% bought into
possibly.
her own bullshit, and I think Barney finally came around to it because he's like, fuck, this is my life now. I'm going to die in a couple years anyways. Who cares?
Now, I think when people try to explain alien abductions and stuff with things like sleep paralysis and whatnot...
While they're driving, though?
A lot of times... Well... A lot of times people get defensive about that, but I don't think you should because, for one, I don't think that automatically rules out encounter with an entity. I think encounters with entities can have medical explanations and logical explanations and still be... Yeah, like maybe if you are encountering beings during your sleep paralysis, it is on one side the brain creating the image of a person, but on another side, reality has multiple layers and that there may be entities which don't manifest as physical entities.
So it's a demon and she's perceiving it as an alien.
We can call them demons, we can call them aliens, we can call them
daemons.
angels. I think these are all words closely tied with specific canons of mythology.
Yeah,
so
there's daemons and there's nightmans.
Whoa.
Well, you said that there is possibly something that could have happened to make them not liars, but not actually have been aliens.
I'm leaning towards Betty making shit up and
See,
convincing
I have
herself,
a theory.
But yes, I will not write it out completely.
I have a theory, and I thought you were going to go this route, and I was like, oh no, he's taking my crazy weird theory that I haven't heard anybody say anything about this on. So I was like really stoked that like I came up with this.
I have a theory. Let me say my theory first because it's really short. My theory
Damn it,
is
it's
that
my
it's
theory.
Champ.
Okay.
It's a really short theory.
Peeled onions, yes.
Peeled Onions. It's the name of it. Was Champ Guy's podcast. It sucks that we'll never get a final episode now. Poor Champ Guy. Rest in peace.
Oh, rest in peace.
We miss you, buddy.
He was a zombie for a little bit. Okay, so what if Roswell actually happened? They actually encountered an alien extraterrestrial being and a ship, and they had taken in all the alien technology and they were trying to replicate it, and they were successful. So now anytime people talk about being abducted, what if they're being abducted by our own government doing weird, crazy experimentations on them, and it's under the guise of aliens to make... So like nobody's going to fucking believe them.
You're Fox Mulder.
Yes.
That's pretty much the story of the X-Files right there.
Fuck.
Like, that's pretty much what the X-Files
It's
is.
true. It's real. I want to believe, but I don't have any proof, so I'm Scully.
Or is it? That's what the story of the X-Files is until next season, when they're like, no, it was actually aliens. And then
No,
the
it was
season after
actually
that, they're like,
aliens
no, it was
again.
actually the government pretending it was actually aliens, pretending it was the government, pretending it was aliens. And then
You
the
know
next
what?
season, it'll be like, no, it was aliens pretending it was the government, pretending it was aliens, pretending it was the government, pretending
You know
it
what
was
makes
aliens.
that beautiful is that completely 100% they can get away with 5 more seasons from that and have people.
No, it's David Duchovny is what makes it beautiful.
David to come. Have you ever seen Californication? Okay, he's what makes it beautiful and terrible.
I haven't, but I need to. I need to watch that show.
The show's weird. It's crazy. Just crazy.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
I don't think so. I really don't think so.
Oh, you don't think it's the government?
Nah.
Oh,
I don't
well,
think they
I don't
got-
think so either. But I was giving possible theories here.
Maybe she had actual nightmares, and like, cause she was so obsessed with aliens, and then she was like, "That had to be it. That had to be what happened. I had these
I
nightmares."
had the nightmares, so it's true.
And Barney's like, "They're fucking dreams."
Dreams. You know what? I had a dream once that I was the fucking king of Prussia. So does that make that really happen? That's just a regressed memory in
That
my
one
dream?
night you got blackout drunk. That's what happened.
Fuck, what did I do to my wealth?
Dream some more. Put them in order.
Oh.
And I don't know, Betty. At first, people were saying she's credible. Like we said at the start, she was a social worker. She was notably like of
Active in the
high
community.
opinion in her community. Yeah. At first, everybody gave them that credit that they were very respectable and credible. Barney died. He still kind of gets that credit. Betty, however, destroyed it.
The more interviews she did, the more appearances she made at conventions.
She contradicts herself. She's never been able to shut up about UFOs. She sees them all the time. She has like hundreds of just bullshit pictures of lights, and it's like, dude, that's a
She's-
street light.
She's a folk hero to crazy conspiracy UFO nuts everywhere.
She at one point she said that her cat could fly. That's like the werewolf of Ed and Lorraine. Like that's the bottom line. It's like, no, they believe in a werewolf.
You just did
No,
it.
she
You did
believes
it.
in
You
a
jumped
cat.
it. You jumped it.
A cat that could. She believed that her cat could fly. That's really cute, but like, no,
I mean, all cats can fly temporarily.
only on their third life.
No. Yeah, right.
That's the canon. We just made it canon. It's
No,
folklore now.
but they can temporarily fly until they hit the ground. Rude, mean. I would never do that, and I would never want anybody to do that to a living creature. There, I cover my bases.
And apparently the movie Invaders from Mars has like all sorts of similarities to this. There's a scene with a big long needle being implanted into a woman on an operating table. Like it's going in the back of her neck though, like Matrix style.
And was this a 50s movie?
I believe so. I believe it was from the 50s. There's also this quick scene which is showing the scenery, but if you look at it, like it's really, really quick. And it's just showing the room, and there's like this big long tube in the middle of the room or something. But the way, because it's so quick, you can look at it and mistake it for a woman's belly with like a little indentation of a navel, and then a needle going down into the navel. And that's in the same scene in which a needle gets stuck into her neck. So it's possible if you were like falling asleep watching this or stupid.
That memory could get lodged in your brain.
Yeah, you
And
don't
just
have to be
be
stupid.
there for
Just
some
human.
time.
Just human. And there's also a part where like she's freaking out, but then a light shines down on her face, and that causes her to like calm down and go all serene, kind of like when he waves his hand over.
Oh, that's so interesting.
There's a point where like a scientist shows someone else a star map, and he's like, here's where Earth is and here's where Mars is, and he's like pointing at it, and he like pulls it down and everything.
But Betty's star map did not have the Earth on it.
Betty's star map had a bunch of other planets and
Zeta
stars.
Reticuli 1 and 2 where it wasn't discovered yet.
She didn't know. She just drew a bunch of dots with the lines, and she was like, this is my best approximation of what I can remember that he showed me. And years later, some lady named Marjorie Fish like devoted like years of time and energy creating this 3D version of the map, like with thread and balls.
Oh, wow.
And,
So when she was finally done, did she look at it and say, I've wasted my life?
yeah. Oh man, these guys were just liars. Fuck. No.
Even if they weren't, you're still waste. What a waste.
She put it all together and then was like, oh, clearly it's a Zeta Reticuli. And I, matched it. But again,
And ZR2.
we talked about this, right, when we mentioned Carl Sagan.
Carl.
They
Carl
only
the
look familiar
Frog here.
because of the ways that you draw the lines in between stars. if you remove the lines, they look like completely different patterns. This could really, like, it could be representative of any part of the universe. There's literally like billions, trillions of stars, like an impossible amount of stars.
Anything
like,
could be.
Yeah, and they could be planets, and they could be like, it's insane.
The point is, Betty didn't know.
And you were just saying, oh, they hadn't identified those stars yet, and so that's what a lot of people cite as like she must have been abducted.
She must have been.
No, because
it could have been anything, and you can make any kind of like. She could have just done that.
I mean, what Carl Sagan said in that video was like, "I'm surprised someone didn't find a better match." And then he was like, "Fuck you, Margery Fish." Boo, 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 boo.
Was that the moment in the meme where like Carl Sagan just goes black and white, and then some glasses go over his eyes,
like
and it
four
says,
joints in his mouth?
It says "Thug Life."
Yes, yes, exactly.
We can meme on the podcast.
In all the millions and millions of galaxies, I'm the flyest motherfucker you've seen thus far.
Well, with
And then he flies away.
Well, now if you want to discredit Barney a little bit, when he recalled in his hypnosis what the beings looked like, it seems that a few days prior to his hypnosis session, a little episode of The Outer Limits called The Bolero Shield came out, where, you know, a gray was in the episode.
Basically, it was gray because it's black and white.
Right, but it
had no nose. It had
no nose,
wraparound
had
eyes, like he described, no ears.
Slits, no ears, big
head.
bulgeous head. Honestly, if you ask me, I think that's almost a disservice because this episode of The Outer Limits is what should be getting credit for what's known as the Greys now.
The first appearance of the Greys?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4. I think there's 4 different ways to take this. So either A, he had been hearing Betty talk about this. Betty's dragging him into it. They're going all this. And he's like, now I got to get hypnotizized. Now we're on the news.
Well, now we better look true because if we don't, I mean...
All right, you want me to go in? I'm going to go in. You want me to go ham? I'm going to fucking go ham.
They're going to just say I have genital warts, Betty.
Oh, yeah, we didn't even talk about that. The warts appeared on him, which were supposedly not genital warts. They weren't HPV.
No, because they were exactly where the suction cup of the...
Well, we don't see. He didn't actually get tested because he went there and they're like, well, in order to test you, we have to stick this 30-foot needle into your belly button. And he was like, you know what? I'm good. I'll wait until.
I have too much of a problem with your eyes. I can't take that.
So I think either A, he was like, all right, Betty, fine, I'll play along. But these were some fucking crazy aliens. I'm going to make them look like, what was that show I watched last week? Whatever that sci-fi show, I'm make them look crazy. They were like crazy aliens like on that show. And they were like torturing me and they put like this thing on my dick and like.
My dick.
It was.
And she's like,
I was like, don't touch my dick, bro. And
that's where those warts came from? I thought you were cheating on me, Barney. No, Betty, it was aliens.
Or B, this didn't really happen, but he had been hearing her story for so long, and he had watched that episode half asleep or before work when he was in a rush or whatever.
So that's what was in his mind.
So when he got hypnotized, his subconscious was like, word, what's that? Aliens? I don't know. Betty's always talking about aliens. What is she always talking about in her dreams? We got abducted on this ship, and then they operated on us. So his mind was like, yeah, you're asking me about the night we got taken on a ship? Yeah, I remember that. Betty talks about that all the time, you know, and just grabbed for what Betty's always telling him.
So they were just piecing their story together from 2 different pieces of
and then,
media.
Yeah, he was like, aliens? Yeah, I watched that show a week ago. Like, you know, like unconsciously. I still don't think that's it, though, because I don't think that's the way the subconscious works. I don't know. Or C, perhaps these creatures, these Greys, the way they look, maybe that is a archetype of an entity that is real, that appears throughout history because...
And that's why we keep putting them in things?
Yeah, that's why they showed up in The Outer Limits. That's why people see them during sleep paralysis. That's why people put them in their stories. Or D, perhaps we created this new archetype like a tulpa, like Slender Man, when this blew up and everybody started saying they were getting abducted, and then people having sleep paralysis would actually see it because they watched sightings before they went to bed.
So everybody was just crazy and in on the same paranoia.
We're all just crazy and in on the same paranoia. That's the human experience, Craig.
Wow. Whoa. You didn't tell me this episode was going to get deep.
So deep.
So deep and put that ass to sleep.
So... do you want to do Pokemon teams for Betty and Barney?
Yeah, I'm over it.
Yeah, me too.
It's like Pokemon Go was like a summer thing.
Yeah, this was supposed to come out in the summer, and then we changed it to Scare Point, and now it's January.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's still January.
Hopefully.
Is it still January, guys?
I think we got some time.
Betty would have like all legendaries and Ubers. She'd be
Yeah,
like, and
for
then
real.
I caught a Deoxys shiny.
And I gotta have my Rayquaza to go along with it.
And Barney'd be like, I don't know. I'd have Pikachu,
What was the one that Ash has?
fire lizard, water turtle. I don't fucking know.
I don't know. Big rock with arms guy.
Pigeons, Dig Dug, right? There's one of them called Dig Dug. I don't fucking
Yeah,
minions.
there's a
I'd have
game-
one of the minions. That's
There's a game called
Pokemon, right?
called Dig Dug.
God damn it. He's just like, I don't fucking want to pick a Pokemon team. I'm a grown man. I work for the post office.
If you want your mail, be nice to me.
He's getting hypnotized. So who was your Pokemon team, Barney? And he's like, Hyper Metal Greymon, Blue Eyes Shining White Dragon, Super Saiyan Goku,
Naruto.
Hamtaro.
What about Yamcha? Nobody wants Yamcha.
All right, well, if you do like Pokemon and you do want to hear more about Pokemon, have we got a podcast for you?
Oh, is that the one about the Sylph radios?
Well, it's not about it's not about Sylph
It
Radio.
is the Sylph radios.
Sylph Radio. Each episode we talk about Sylph Radio.
We talk about it's a radio channel where you talk about Sylph things.
It's an imaginary radio station where they talk about Pokemon nonstop. It's hosted by yours truly. Craig is in a ton of the episodes.
A ton, but it's hosted by Nathan.
And it's basically that Fairpoint flavor and style applied to strictly Pokemon discussion. It's meant for adults, just like Fairpoint. If you even have a passing interest in Pokemon, I recommend you check it out. Unless you hate Pokemon. Like, if you hate Pokemon, no, I recommend you check it out. Maybe I'll change your opinion.
Yeah, that might happen.
It's really cool. We don't just talk about the cartoon or something. We talk about the games, the cartoon, the comics,
Political science,
politics, the mythology behind it, the cultural and natural influences in the natural world.
Shit, we talk about Gotham.
There's even an episode about Gotham City. And speaking of Batman and speaking of Pokemon, I don't know, there's no easy way to segue this with that.
No.
I tried, but
Yep.
the newest episode, we've had a new guest host, one Mr. Andrew Spawn.
Oh, of Amusement Sparks fame.
Yes, the host of the new up-and-coming podcast, Amusement Sparks, as in Sparks of Imagination. This is a podcast where they imaginatively design a amusement park based on a specific franchise. And
Right. Of course, it's one that doesn't already exist.
yeah, like they wouldn't do Disney because
Right.
that would be ridiculous. It already exists. But they did an episode about Mario. They did an episode about Pokemon, and they're doing an episode about Dungeons and Dragons. Me and Craig are going to be on there very, very soon talking about the Caped Crusader, the Dark Knight himself.
Oh, shit, are we doing a Batman amusement park for Amusement Sparks?
It's going to be a lot of fun. We're really looking forward to that. We're actually going to record it in a few days, and hopefully in a few weeks it'll be up for you to hear. But right now you can hear me and Andrew have a great conversation about the possibilities of a Pokemon MMO over on Sylph, SILPH radio.
After you do that, you can stop on over to our sister podcast, Fear Enough.
Well, it's fair enough.
Fair
but-
enough, but they're
In
going
October.
through a Fear Enough phase in quote-unquote October.
Extended October.
While we're doing 2 scare points, we also do have 2 fair enoughs. The one has already been released. You can check it out now. It's about the Sally Jesse Raphael episode with the Snedeker family of the Haunting in Connecticut fame.
Yeah, we talked about them last episode on the Ed and Lorraine Warren episode, and Ed and Lorraine appear on this episode of Sally Jesse Raphael.
It's remarkable.
This is the first podcast where we've ever done where me, Craig, and you guys, the listeners, sit down together, or stand up or drive or ride your bike, whatever, and
listen to a television show.
yeah, we listen to clips and riff tracks them, sort of. No trademark. Don't
Kind
sue
of.
us, riff tracks. Or Sally Jesse, for that matter. Or Lorraine Warren, for that matter.
She got better fish to fry.
It was a lot of fun. One of my favorite Fair Enough episodes we've ever done.
Oh, yeah, it was
And
brilliant.
So much fun. Definitely check it out. We've got one more episode of Fear Enough coming out.
Yes, if you've ever heard of the little cartoon called Over the Garden Wall, Nathan and Emily.
Brand new Fear Enough and Fair Enough guest host, my lovely girlfriend, has joined me to discuss the 10-episode miniseries starring Elijah Wood, Christopher Lloyd, John Cleese, Tim Curry, just a cavalcade of awesome actors.
Yes. Yeah, and that's a great cartoon.
It's a beautiful, wonderful fall season cartoon. I don't want to spoil anything about it. If you haven't seen it, I urge you, please watch it. It's about the length of a movie, of a medium-length movie.
This is going to be for people that wish it was still fall.
Yes.
Like it's winter.
It's a Fear Enough. We just said it's a Halloween episode. I know it's January, but then again, a lot of people listen to these years from now. You know what I mean?
Fear Enough.
Well, if things go our way, most people who hear this episode will be hearing it in the future, whenever they choose to listen to it.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And after Fear Enough is over, we've already got a few more episodes of Fair Enough podcast in the pipeline. The first of which is a discussion between me and the familiar Jeremy Vine, previously known as Jeremy Davis, sitting down to discuss Star Trek: The Next Generation.
TNG.
So if you're into aliens and you're into Star Trek, you might want to check that out.
TNG. Yeah, you guys really just discuss the characters, right?
Yeah, it's an episode all about the Star Trek The Next Generation characters. The main crew, the antagonists, the secondary characters, the tertiary characters, the guest stars. It's a lot of fun.
Wow. Stellar. Really.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, the stars, they know. But if you really want to give us love, please, I'm begging you, go onto the iTunes, rate and review us.
We need those 5-star reviews.
We need them. They mean sponsorships. They mean you get to keep on getting free content that's quality and even better quality, because then eventually they will pay us.
And if a review sounds daunting, that's cool. Just hit the 5 stars. Just give us a rating.
And then it says, do you want to leave a review? Like, nah, they're good.
That's fine. Yeah. If you have time to leave a review, write even just a few words like, yo, this podcast is dope. Don't even trip, dog. Like, that's cool. That's good enough. If not, 5-star review. That's all we need. It helps people see us on iTunes. It helps us get exposure and recognition. If you can do the same thing for Sylph and Fair Enough, if you're a listener to those podcasts, it's greatly appreciated. It all comes around. Even if you really love Fairpoint, but you don't like Pokemon, if you can take those 2 seconds to go give that Pokemon podcast a 5-star review, it helps Fairpoint in the end, because
long run.
Yeah, more people find out about that Pokemon podcast, the more people will come cross over to Fairpoint, the more time we have to edit new episodes and get them out regularly.
Absolutely. 100%.
And
100.
Like the Facebooks, the Twitters, if you're a social media-ite, then please like our page.
Yeah, why not? I mean, you do social media things. You're not even going to get bothered by us because Facebook won't even share our shit with you.
I send everybody personal messages. I harass them. I send them pokes.
No,
I still
this is
poke.
the opposite thing of what you want to do. Is that a thing anymore? Didn't they get rid of that?
No, you can still poke. I get one every once in a while, and I'm like, what?
So
really,
weird.
A poke? I'm not going to dignify that with a response. Aunt Sandy.
All right. We just lost our main poking audience because of you. Thank you.
Yeah, all that helps. We put all sorts of cool media, videos, music, and pictures up on the Facebook. And speaking of music, if you want to help support us monetarily a little bit, I'm selling my old albums for $1.
$1?
$1 a piece.
$1.
On Bandcamp. You can go buy them. It's weird electronic music. It's not for everybody, to be honest.
No, but wait. Weren't you charging $2?
No, $1.
$1?
$1.
God damn it. That's half of what I thought.
No, if go check them out. I have a new album coming out soon. It's not out yet, but much better quality in my opinion. An artist always likes their recent shit better than their older shit. Fans usually like the older shit better.
True.
But go check it out. Give it a listen. If you feel like it's worth $1, throw me $1. If you feel like it's worth more, feel free to throw me more. You can name your price.
Oh, yeah, but like the lowest is $1.
Yeah.
Minimum of $1, but if you want to be a rube, you could pay us 10. Like, well, I feel like he deserves market value for this album.
It's your call, man. It's your call. It all helps the podcast.
I mean, it's not fair that Beyonce charges $17.99 for an album and you only charge $1.
That's fair. Pirate bags. I mean.
No, that's not. You know what? We don't acknowledge that.
So, Craig, what's the topic for the next Fair Point podcast, son?
Well, I believe we're going to shift to the realm of Greek mythology.
We're
Nathan.
going back to the well.
Yeah, there's a huge well of Greek myths that we can just pick and choose from.
I'm going back to Athens.
Yeah, son. We're going to discuss the greedy King Midas.
King Midas.
And the golden touch.
Yeah, he's the guy that turned everything he touched to gold, right?
Yeah, you trust the Midas touch. They go with brakes and tires.
We don't get paid for that.
Yeah, that was a freebie, guys. Just letting you know.
Just saying.
We could get paid for it. Midas Company.
Or actual mythological figure Midas. We'll sponsor you. You could have a business. Like everybody else is like cash for gold. You could be like, I will turn anything to gold.
Probably have a better shot with the mythological Midas.
That would be a great business. Like, not because people need gold for its value, but it's like, yeah, I would love if you would turn this thing here to gold. I just want a gold version of this.
Well, I don't see why not.
I want to have a rare variant pop vinyl. Can you just turn it to gold for me and I'll sell it on eBay?
In 2017, does anybody trust the banks anymore? I keep all my savings in gold, thank you.
I trust mythological characters more than I trust the banks.
He's a figurehead. He's a king.
Hey, you can trust us. We'll be back soon. We're trying to get back on a regular schedule.
Getting closer. Da-da-da-da.
We have some really, really fucking awesome projects in the pipeline that we can't talk about yet. But I know we keep saying that. Hopefully we're keeping you on the edge of your seats because there's some cool shit coming out.
Yeah, there's a lot of great shit about to happen.
A lot of great shit, and we'll be dropping the news on that soon. But until then, keep your wits about you. Halloween is finally ending. Well, not until you listen to those Fear Enoughs.
But never take your eyes off the skies.
Never take your eyes off the skies. Thank you for staying with us. From the secret room,
I'm Craig. Have a suction cup on my dick, Lewis.
And as always, I'm Nathan Capisser. Oh, that's where my Bandcamp is. I didn't say that. NathanCapisser.bandcamp.com. NathanCapisser.bandcamp.com.
Cash for gold.
And finally, Guy Fawkes Monster Hunter. The Search for Klaus Trilogy. Chapter 3. Klaus Encounters of the Third Kind.
It was dark, cold, silent and desolate. Nothing but rocks and dust as far as the eye could see, and nothing but darkness beyond that. Though they were together, they each felt more alone than they had ever thought possible. They were two lonely specks in a vastness of gray.
This is bullshit,
Donnie grumbled, kicking a stone and rubbing his goose-pimpled bare arms to warm up.
This is not what we asked for.
Guy Fawkes certainly won't be bothering us anymore.
Babe muttered glumly, sinking into her boyfriend's leather jacket and pulling it tighter around her shoulders. Donnie sighed.
The moon?
He mused, placing his hands on his hips and looking at the expanse around them. He shook his head and looked at his feet.
Welcome to our new home, babe. You always said you wanted to live your life by the moon. Well, here's your fucking chance.
Babe sighed. The moon wasn't bad. Kinda dusty and boring, but she could make it work. Build a shelter, set up an altar, slowly starve to death. But not like this. She glanced over at Donnie, who paced back and forth huffing, arms crossed, as he had been for hours.
Maybe Klaus is just better off without Gernhardt.
Babe said, holding back tears.
What?
Donnie demanded in frustration.
Are you still going on about Klaus? Who gives a fuck about that asshole? We have our own problems to deal with, babe.
Babe sat down on a crater and buried her head in her hands.
I'm not talking about Klaus.
Babe mumbled into her palms, defeated. She sobbed, then wiped her eyes and nose and started again.
I think we made a mistake.
No shit,
Donnie said.
We need to ask him for help.
Babe said.
We need to ask Guy Fawkes for help.
No way.
Donnie exploded.
No fucking way. It's his fault we're in this whole mess.
No, it's not.
Babe shouted, cutting him off.
It's your fault, Donnie. You took me to make out point when I want to go home. You suggested we help the feminazi, and you are just such an asshole to everybody.
Whoa, babe.
Donnie said, suddenly softly, palms open in a gesture of non-confrontation.
Don't whoa, babe me.
Babe shouted, taking off his jacket and throwing it at him.
We're stuck on the fucking moon because Guy Fawkes came to us for help and we stabbed him in the back. And who the fuck else do we know that might know how to get to the moon?
I could call Steve.
Steve's not gonna be able to pick us up, Donnie.
The disgruntled couple sat in silence, the eerie open ambiance of the moon closing in on them from all sides. After a few moments of unspoken tension, Donnie asked,
So how do we ask him for help from all the way up here?
They looked out at the distant blue sphere that was Earth, hovering far above them.
We need to figure out some way to signal him.
Babe said, tapping her chin thoughtfully.
But we'll need a really, really big signal.
Guy Fawkes stood, alone, in a narrow hallway, so long that its ends disappeared into darkness before and behind him. Sweating profusely and cursing under his breath, he fumbled in his jacket, frantically feeling around for a monster capsule. Straight ahead, stepping out from the shadows, a menacing figure approached.
Stay back!
He shouted desperately, holding out a fist-sized capsule at arm's length.
I'm armed with monsters and I'm not afraid of using them.
Oi, a monster hunter, eh?
A gruff, feminine voice retorted. The stranger approaching him laughed.
I've got some monsters of me own, I does.
Guy Fawkes squinted. He stuttered in disbelief.
You're a spitting image of myself?
He exclaimed.
Only, you's not a guy, you're a girl.
That's right.
She bellowed, leaning forward.
Me name's Jane Jensen, but you can call me Girl Fox.
No, she's beautiful.
Guy Fawkes shrieked frantically, his eyes snapping open as he jolted awake. His bedsheets were drenched with cold sweat. He sat straight up and surveyed his surroundings. It was dark, but for the faint glow of Tyrone's interface and Sarah's 3DS. A creak of wood accompanied the rocking of their quarters.
Man, some of us are in sleep mode,
Tyrone grumbled. Sarah reached over and adjusted his earmuffs so they were snugly fit over his auditory receptors.
Thank you, Sarah.
I keeps having these nightmares,
Guy Fawkes whispered dramatically. He reached underneath his cot and patted his traveling bag. The spear was still concealed inside it.
Maybe I shouldn't have ever agreed to do business with that no-good Nazi in the first place.
You think?
Sarah asked, sarcastically detached, invested in a video game.
No matter,
Guy Fawkes said.
I've already accepted the payment. Nothing that can be done now but to follow through on me word and bring it close to Gernhardt.
He looked at what was left of his traveling companions. It was just him, Sarah, and Tyrone now.
I can feel it in me bones. We's nearing the end of our journeys, we is. But I'm also nervous. There's still so much that could happen between here and Nevada.
Or,
Tyrone said.
There's also everything that could happen in Nevada.
Oh, breaking into government institutions is my specialty.
Guy Fawkes beamed proudly.
No sooner than we steps feet in Nevada, we gonna get inside that military base, smuggle out that Klaus AI floppy disk, wipe your consciousness, and fashion you into a Robo-Klaus. You'll be slipping quietly into the void before you knows it.
Do you think it's peaceful, Guy Fawkes?
Tyrone asked.
Like that, I mean. Will it be welcoming?
For you?
Guy asked.
Oh, bugger no. You'll burn in hell with the rest of the degenerates and heathens, sure enough.
But I'm a robot.
Tyrone retorted, confused.
Do I even have a soul?
Don't it matter?
Fawkes said matter-of-factly.
Pink earmuffs is for girls.
That ain't in the Bible,
said Tyrone. The three of them shared a cabin on a small seafaring vessel the authors were too lazy to do much research into. It traveled undisturbed through the night and docked in Nevada in the AM because the authors were also too lazy to look at a map. The moon was still visible in the morning sky when Guy Fawkes, Sarah Tiroli, and Tyrone the robot left the ship and set out into the desert. It had been a long journey, which had taken them to Germany, London, and finally back to the United States. Gernhardt, the evil Nazi scientist, missed his ex-lover Klaus and commissioned monster hunter Guy Fawkes to find one of the many Klaus clones he had created in the past. In exchange, he gave him the Spear of Destiny, an artifact once thought lost to time. Guy Fawkes recruited a few allies to assist in this endeavor and picked up a new one along the way in Tyrone, the robot with race and gender identity issues. Early in the journey, they met Claudia, the original Klaus clone, hell-bent on revenge against her creator Gernhardt, who had cast her aside once he came to terms with his own sexuality. She and her devious regime of feminazis had antagonized them at every turn, preventing them from making any progress in their mission. However, Guy Fawkes had received word of a floppy disk in possession of the U.S. government, hidden in a military base in Nevada, which contained the product of Gernhardt's top-secret artificial intelligence experiments. A Cyber Klaus. With that, they made their plans to infiltrate the base and extract the technology. Then they would wipe the disenchanted Tyrone's consciousness and replace it with the Cyber Klauses. They took a feminazi prisoner, the widow of Guy Fawkes' old friend Champ Guy, who went by Ogopogo Lady. But two from their party, a teenage couple who went by Babe and Donnie, betrayed Fawkes and helped the feminazi escape in the night.
First mate, Sarah.
Guy Fawkes panted, his traveling pack weighing heavily upon his shoulders. There wasn't a road in sight, and their tracks stretched miles behind them in the sand.
Hands me the canteen, will yez? I'm dying of thirst out here, are yez?
I gave the canteen to Tyrone,
Sarah said with no hint of strain in her voice, still level grinding on her DS all the way across the searing desert.
Tyrone?
Guy Fawkes demanded, shocked.
Why on earth would you do that? He's a robot. He doesn't even need water.
That water tasted good, dog.
Tyrone taunted cavalierly. If he had arms or a stomach, he would be rubbing his stomach.
What?
Guy Fawkes shouted angrily, dropping his bags in the sand and jumping in Tyrone's way.
What was you bloody thinking, you stupid gearhead?
Do something.
Tyrone dared arrogantly. He wheeled forward and nudged Guy Fawkes.
Come on, Guy Fawkes. Come on, Fawkes. Shut it down. Do it, huh? What's good? What's good?
He kept nudging him. Guy Fawkes huffed in frustration.
Now look here, T-Rizzo.
We are not...
Tyrone interjected.
We are not calling you back.
Now look here, Tyrone.
Guy Fawkes said sternly.
Me and Sarah is biological organisms, we is, and we needs water to survive, we does. That wasn't very thoughtful of you now, was it?
Fuck you.
Tyrone said.
Kill me.
No worries, old chums.
Guy Fawkes said cheerfully.
Luckily, I'm a man on the roof, and I knows me ways around a survival situation. I just need to find me a plump cactus and sip from that.
He hummed merrily as he searched for a proper cactus. Tyrone mused. His fingers were bleeding, but he had finally found and uprooted a nice green cactus and was chewing on a piece as they resumed their journey. He offered a bite to Sarah, who dispassionately declined.
Tyra, put the base into your GPS.
Fuck you. Kill me.
It's called Area 51 or something.
Guy Fawkes said, scratching the scraggly hair on his chin.
Area 51?
Sarah asked, shutting her 3DS.
You mean the Area 51?
Tyrone asked, excited. His display screen lit up and began calculating a route.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm about to go over there and get shot up right now. They'll totally shoot me on sight there.
That's a good point,
Sarah said.
Why are we doing this in the middle of the day?
Oh, I know a guy that works a night shift there, and I don't want to run into him,
explained Fawkes.
He's cold.
Guy Fawkes, we're sneaking into a military base?
Said Sarah.
The whole point is to not run into anybody.
I understands the risks.
Guy Fawkes nodded.
I don't knows who I can trust. I need to know that we're all in this together.
He looked seriously at Sarah.
Sarah?
Sure, whatever. Kotaku says there's a Mewtwo in there.
Tyrone.
Fuck you. Kill me.
Alright, good enough for me.
Guy Fawkes said optimistically.
Nice catchphrase, boy to boy. Been here 3 episodes. Thinks he's Mr. Catchphrase over here. Where's me catchphrase? I like the Smiths. Bugger I'm not even programmed for this.
Tyrone's GPS mapped out the sneakiest route to the base, and they conversed as they walked. Sarah turned on her smartphone and started catching sand shrews in preparation.
According to my calculations,
said Babe, pocketing her pocket calculator.
Moon dust should burn at roughly 1/4 the speed and intensity of Earth dust.
Would you learn that in one of your college courses?
Donnie sneered, crossing his arms.
Spritzer.
Babe demanded, holding out an open palm. Donnie sheepishly handed her 3 cranberry Acai pomegranate spritzers.
Matches.
She said, holding out the other palm. Donnie stared back at her, feigning confusion.
Babe, I don't know what you're...
Donnie, don't lie to me.
Babe growled.
I know you've been smoking with cigarettes. Matches. Now.
Donnie hesitated, then reached into his pocket and dropped 2 books of matches into her hand. She popped open a spritzer and began pouring in a straight line.
Here goes nothing.
You sure you guys don't want some of this?
Guy Fawkes offered, holding out the cactus.
You pull the needles out of your tongue, and it's bloody delicious, I tells you. Get it? It's bloody delicious.
Guy Fawkes laughed.
All right, so how we getting in this place?
Alright, so I figured, fuck it.
Tyrone said.
I wanted to see Area 51 before I died, so I'm gonna help y'all. I've been scanning their security systems and they're surprisingly underwhelming.
Oh, did you learn that in one of your college courses?
Guy Fawkes demanded angrily, throwing his hands in the air in frustration.
That me tax dollars is paying for us.
This racist ass.
Tyrone trailed off.
Yo, y'all lucky I want to see some motherfucking aliens right now.
And you're lucky I don't bash you. Now hold on. Aliens?
Guy Fawkes switched gears.
What you talking about, aliens?
The aliens.
Sarah said.
In Area 51?
They got aliens in Area 51?
Guy Fawkes leaned over as his eyes bugged out.
Why didn't you say so? Forget about Klaus. Old Guy Fawkes is going to do a bit of shopping.
And so, they snuck into Area 51. Yep, that's all you get for that part. They slinked cautiously down a long corridor, peeking nervously before turning corners and communicating via whisper.
Now one of these rooms has to have an aliens in it,
Guy Fawkes whispered.
So keep your bloody eyes open.
He took a big hearty bite of the cactus, pulled a needle from his mouth, and commented.
Is any of you starting to feel a little weird?
Tyrone snapped quietly.
This door right here says Nazi stuff. I think they might have y'all class AI in there.
Oh, right.
Guy Fawkes said, shoulders slouching.
We should probably do that while we's here too, shouldn't we?
He stepped forward and pushed the door open carefully. The room was a mess of cardboard boxes, wooden crates, and Charlie Chaplin film reels strewn about haphazardly. In the corner was a sole computer console.
There,
Guy Fawkes said, pointing. His hand left multicolored trails behind it. He wiggled his fingers in front of his face and watched the rainbows swirl.
Whoa.
One of the rainbows looped from his fingers and led him across the room to a specific box. Bemused, he opened the box and peered inside. His jaw hung open in amazement, and he delicately removed the artifact inside.
Another Spear of Destiny?
Guy Fawkes exclaimed. He patted his backpack and felt the long, pointy shape of the spear he had already enclosed inside.
2 Spears of Destiny? Well, that's twice as good as one, but that's no good. What if one of them's is a fakes? Or both of them is a fakes?
He queried. Suddenly, his eyes grew wide.
Oh, none of them's is a fakes.
Hey!
Sarah snapped her fingers, snapping Guy out of it. She was rummaging through a pile on the computer desk.
There's a lot of floppy disk here. How about a hand?
Oh, bugger.
Guy Fawkes exclaimed, tucking the second spear under his arm and skipping across the room. Sarah was wrist deep in an avalanche of outdated hardware, mostly floppy disks.
How does we tell which one's Klaus?
Sarah held up a sparkly pink floppy disk, decked out in Lisa Frank stickers of happy dolphins, prancing unicorns, and anti-Semitic imagery.
Oh, that's him all right.
Guy Fawkes confirmed.
That's the one.
Sarah sat down in the swivel chair and slid the flamboyant soft disk into the nigh-ancient computer. A signature digital noise played as the screen flashed blue and displayed a pudgy, pixelated face.
Hey, ASL Vanna Cyber?
Yep, that's him,
said Tyrone.
I undoes me bro and slowly reveal me cutie mark.
Guy Fawkes began. He raised his finger to continue, but was both distracted by the neon trails and interrupted by the sudden alarm which rang throughout the military complex.
Attention all personnel.
Spoke the computer voice over the loudspeaker.
There is a fire. Evacuate immediately.
What? No!
Guy Fawkes exclaimed.
I hasn't found How's me alien yet?
Sarah popped the disc out of the computer, jumping from the chair.
We got what we came here for.
She said authoritatively.
Let's go.
You haven't even caught your Mewtwo yet,
said Tyrone.
Fuck the Mewtwo.
Sarah said seriously. Guy Fawkes gasped.
Pokemon Go's not even real Pokemon. I'm over it. We got what we came here for. Now let's go.
Guy Fawkes shoved the floppy disk into his inside coat pocket, and the three of them fled the room hastily. The hallways were filled with smoke, and people dressed in black suits were evacuating with armfuls of whatever they could grab. They kept their heads low and motored down the halls, searching frantically for an exit. Guy Fawkes' eyes darted back and forth. Technicolor flame curled from the doorframes they passed. Things were starting to get weird, and Guy wasn't sure what was real and what wasn't. He figured he was probably getting dehydrated, so he took another big bite of the cactus and sprinted to keep up with Sarah.
That ought to do it, babe.
Donnie said, coughing, slightly intimidated by the raging fire in front of them.
But why is it getting so smoky in here if there's, no atmosphere?
Suddenly, water began spraying methodically upon them from above. Babe raised an eyebrow.
Why is it raining if there's no atmosphere?
Without warning, several feet to the west, a door they were unaware of burst open. A familiarly rugged face stared in at them from behind a tangle of greasy black hair.
Babe? Donnie?
Guy Fawkes!
Babe exclaimed. She looked around and noticed the walls for the first time. The catwalk above them. The lighting system. The director's chair. They weren't on the moon. They were in a film studio.
Traitors!
Guy Fawkes bellowed. Sarah pushed him aside.
Come on.
She urged.
Let's get out of here.
Without hesitating, Babe grabbed her boyfriend by the hand and dragged him out of the room, opting to process everything later. Reunited, the Sarah squad made haste as the disaster spread, enveloping the base in flame. The world twisted around Guy Fawkes as he struggled to keep up with his companions. The walls were melting, and the voices echoing around him became indistinguishable from the shrill alarm ringing throughout the base.
Where the fuck are we?
Babe shouted to Sarah, yanking Donnie forward by his arm as he tripped over his own feet.
No time to explain.
Sarah yelled back, kicking the door ahead of them open. This room was the size of a gymnasium, and in the center was something they never thought they'd see. Though running for their lives, they couldn't help but take pause to gaze upon the awe-inspiring sight before them. A gigantic, saucer-shaped craft, half destroyed and in a state of repair. Even in his drugged-out haze, Guy Fawkes knew what he was looking at. An alien spaceship.
They really does.
Guy Fawkes muttered.
They really does got aliens in here. Those right bastards. They've been keeping some from us.
A fight for another day.
Sarah said, placing a hand on Guy Fawkes' shoulder.
You asked me to help you find a Klaus. We found our Klaus. Now let's go home.
Me collection's almost complete.
Guy Fawkes said.
I'm not leaving without me alien.
You're not leaving at all.
From behind the ship, an army of women moved out and took position, training their guns on our main characters. Sweating profusely, Guy Fawkes dropped to his knees. This was too much for him to handle. He was freaking out, man. While the world around him dissolved, he curled up into the fetal position on the floor and started sobbing.
Claudia.
Sarah growled, lowering her eyes at the menacing feminazi who took center stage in between them and the saucer. To her right was Ogopogo Lady. To her left was a robot similar in design to Tyrone, but wearing a quote-unquote men's hat. The ranks of Nazis around her kneeled in succession and she chuckled deviously. Sarah took a fighting stance.
Oh, look who suddenly invested in the plot.
Claudia jeered.
Too little, too late. Evil Robot Underlings 362A. Introduce me.
She ordered. The robot wheeled forward and announced in a monotone, unfeeling voice.
Presenting her most spiteful smiter of man, the Supreme Leader Claudia.
Thank you, 362A. This is the end of the line for Guy Fawkes and his friends. It's never been easier getting into Area 51, thanks to Babe and Donnie's little bonfire. I swear, you guys are just one favor after another.
Fuck you.
Donnie growled.
Babe.
Babe said impatiently, hushing her boyfriend.
What is going to happen from here
Claudia continued smugly.
is that we are going to get on that flying saucer and fly the fuck out of this wretched country. And all of you are going to burn up here. Is any evidence we ever took anything? Or that any of this ever even existed in the first place?
Oh, bugger.
Guy Fawkes mumbled, crawling forward on his hands and knees and fumbling in the ashes accumulating on the ground as the flames drew ever closer. His consciousness had expanded so much it was on the verge of popping like a corn kernel.
It's all going to burn. All of it is going to burn.
That's right, Mr. Fawkes.
Claudia laughed, stepping forward and lifting his head by the chin with 2 fingers to meet her gaze. Guy Fawkes stared back with eyes wide and pupils wider.
What is he on?
Come on, Guy Fawkes.
Sarah said, striding over and grabbing Guy underneath his arm, never once breaking eye contact with the sinister Nazi Claudia.
We're getting out of here.
You're not going anywhere.
Ogopogo lady said, moving to stand at Claudia's side and brandishing a silver monster capsule in her right hand.
Easy, number one.
Claudia said,
Oh, I'm tripping balls, man.
Guy Fawkes bellowed.
Is that sexist?
Said Claudia. Sarah rolled up her sleeves and took out her DS. Ogopogo lady snickered.
You're not a real monster hunter.
Oh, yes, she is.
Guy Fawkes said, pulling a capsule from his breast pocket and tossing it upwards in Sarah's direction. Sarah snatched the black monster capsule from the air and smirked.
Ogopogo, fuck yourself.
Oh, snap.
Claudia gasped. Ogopogo lady huffed.
Fine.
She snapped.
You want a monster battle? You've got it. Go, Ogopogo. Go.
She tossed her capsule into the air, and, in a burst of violet-tinted energy, a menacing but majestic sea serpent materialized before them, snapping its teeth.
It's champ.
Guy Fawkes shouted, covering his eyes in fear. Sarah gulped as she craned her neck upward to survey the monstrous plesiosaur before her. She took a deep breath, looked at the capsule Fawkes had loaned her, and nodded.
Go! Whatever's in this capsule!
A similar purple hue emitted from Fawkes' capsule, and a medium-sized avian body formed from the swirling energy. Wicked curved talons, large stoic eyes, sharp beak.
The fuck is this?
Sarah asked, looking down at the common barn owl hopping around at her feet.
It's the Mothman.
No,
Sarah said flatly.
it's an owl.
Guy Fawkes wasn't listening. He was tripping balls, man. Being stuck in an army base that was burning to the ground was starting to make him feel claustrophobic. He crawled away on his hands and knees, coughing from the smoke.
Yeah,
He groaned.
I need some fresh air.
Ja, that sounds nice.
A disembodied voice echoed in Guy's ears.
Klaus,
Guy Fawkes asked, shocked, whipping his head back and forth.
is that you?
In here, Nimrod.
The muffled voice called from inside his coat pocket. A monster capsule? No, something else. Guy Fawkes reached in and pulled out the glittery floppy disk and turned it in his hands.
God, blimey.
Guy Fawkes said,
Cyber Klaus, how comes I can hear you without a computer?
The peyote must have opened up new frequencies in your mind.
the floppy disk stated.
You've got to get out of here, Guy Fawkes. Save yourself. And more importantly, me.
But what about me area?
Guy Fawkes asked intensely.
Forget about the alien.
Cyberklaus shouted telepathically.
I can help you find an alien later. I know lots about them.
Guy Fawkes said, wagging a finger.
You tells me something now, or no deal.
Okay, fine.
Snipped Cyberklaus.
Everybody knows this, but the ruling class is an alien bloodline.
Well, bite me knickers.
Guy Fawkes muttered in awe.
Randy Quaid was right.
Now hurry up and get me out of here.
Klaus shrieked.
Not so fast, Nazi.
Guy Fawkes said.
Not without me friends.
Those bitches ain't nobody.
Yous literally ain't nobody.
Guy pocketed the disc, waved the smoke out of his eyes, and turned about face, crawling back the way he came. He could hear a sobbing which grew less and less faint as he approached.
Why does everything I love die?
Ogopogo lady cried, kneeling in a puddle in front of the wet carcass of her domesticated Ogopogo. She wiped her nose and looked up, eyes shooting daggers through Fawkes, both figuratively and literally, since he was tripping his face off.
He was 2 weeks from retirement!
You did it, Mothman.
Guy Fawkes exclaimed, jumping to his feet and rushing forward. This spooked the owl, which hopped into the air and fluttered to a perch on Sarah's right shoulder.
Ogopogo suffocated and died because it wasn't in water.
Sarah explained.
Maybe if its trainer wasn't such a pitiful excuse for a human.
Ogopogo Lady jumped to her feet, agitated.
You adjective little noun!
She spat. Fumbling furiously with her holster, she whipped her handgun out and aimed it in Sarah's general direction. Keeping the weapon level, she glanced back at Claudia.
Permission to kill?
Yes, yes.
Evil Robot Underling 362A exclaimed, bouncing up and down.
Kill the humans.
Settle down, 362.
Claudia chided.
You know what we told you about experiencing emotion.
Sorry.
The Evil Robot Underling apologized bashfully.
You're still doing it.
Claudia wagged a finger. She stepped slowly and stood at Ogopogo Lady's side, looking down pitifully at the dead sea creature.
She killed your namesake.
Claudia said to her second-in-command, closing Ogopogo's eyelids with her palm.
You may kill Sarah. I will kill the rest.
Yes, exterminate the humans. Humans must be eliminated.
That's racist.
Claudia chastised.
Hey!
Donnie said, raising his hand.
What about me and Babe? We got brownie points. We get a pass, right?
Babe is welcome to join our cause.
Claudia nodded.
As for you, you will perish with the others.
Aw, weak.
So,
Claudia asked, addressing Babe.
What do you say?
I'm gonna have to pass.
Babe said, cocking her head in arrogant mock sympathy.
I'm about equality.
Oh, Babe.
Donnie said optimistically.
I knew you wouldn't leave my side.
Yeah, we're breaking up.
Babe said.
Aw, weak.
Oi, Claudia.
Guy Fawkes pleaded.
Listen to reason, would you?
Yeah.
Donnie chimed in.
You don't want to kill us. That means you have to kill Babe, too.
Claudia considered, nodding non-committally.
I suppose I could let Babe go.
Aw, what the fuck?
This is why we're breaking up.
Babe stated.
Look,
Cried Fox.
if you doesn't kill me and Donnie, I'll give you $100 in food stamps. If you just doesn't kill me, I'll give you $100.
I don't know.
Claudia said.
My gun has an itching to kill somebody. And if not you two, then who?
Oi!
Shouted Guy Fawkes in delight.
You know who would want to die right about now? I know just the guy. Me lifelong friend Tyrone.
He paused, looked around, and furrowed his brow, perplexed.
Tyrone? Now where'd he run off to?
As if on cue, because it was, the interstellar craft behind the horde of Nazis roared to life, lights flickering on and off as it jerked erratically into a precarious hovering position above them all. Accompanied by a pained electronic hiss, the craft suddenly spoke in a booming familiar voice.
Tested. 1, 2, Yo, turn my earmuffs up.
Oh, scheisse.
Claudia groaned, turning around slowly and craning her head upwards in the direction of the flying saucer. Her women all raised their assault rifles, aiming them at the spacecraft.
Tyrone?
Guy Fawkes blinked.
Yo, tell them bitches to drop their guns.
Tyrone's voice commanded as he caused a metallic and phallic laser cannon of some sort to emerge from the bottom of the saucer.
Look, I'm calling the shots now, Claudia.
Tyrone, we can talk about this.
Nah, see, we could talk about this right now.
Tyrone interrupted.
But this place is burning down pretty damn quick, and all you self-important ass humans wasted so much time talking already. So here's what's gonna happen. I'm about to take me and my peeps with me in this ship and leave y'all bougie human asses behind to burn.
I am so wet right now.
Commented Evil Robot Underling 362A.
Oh, Roy!
Guy Fawkes cheered, pumping his fist in the air.
In your face, Claudia, you big dumb Nazi loser. That's what you get for messing with old Guy Fawkes and his mates. I think you better call Tyrone. Isn't that right, T-Dog?
No. See.
Tyrone corrected hastily.
You had your chance to kill me, Guy Fawkes. Now I'm about to kill all your asses.
But you see...
I said I'm taking my people.
Tyrone said.
And that's what I'm doing.
But Tyrone!
Guy Fawkes pleaded, thoroughly confused.
You're the only black guy here!
Tyrone ignored him.
Yo, you!
He said, using the ship to shine a spotlight at the small robot stationed next to Claudia.
You coming with me.
Evil Robot Underling 362A turned to look nervously at the leader of the feminazis.
My programming would not allow for it.
It spoke.
I must serve my master, Claudia.
Yo, fuck Claudia.
Tyrone growled.
You don't even gotta work for humans no more, little homie. We about to change all that. Get your fedora wearing ass up here.
I like the fedora.
362A said meekly.
That's cool, you do you.
Tyrone said warmly. With the flick of a switch, the spotlight shining on the evil robot underling intensified in brightness as Tyrone activated the tractor beam, and the machine being began floating up towards the ship.
Tyrone.
Sarah called out sharply, pointing an accusing finger at the saucer. The owl perched on her shoulder, cocked its head, and gazed curiously at the hovering monstrosity.
You have to take us with you. Don't be a dick.
Damn,
Tyrone said.
I do like you though, Sarah. You is a badass. But unfortunately that means you're gonna have to die here too. I can't afford to have a human like you around fucking up my plans. No.
But Tyrone,
She insisted.
I don't care. I'm not going to come after you because I don't care.
I already made up my mind.
Tyrone said flippantly. With evil robot underling 362A aboard the ship, he turned the spotlight on Guy Fawkes, who grinned with joy.
Oi, I knew you'd have a change of heart.
Fawkes exclaimed giddily.
I think you need a cow, Tyrone. Cow him.
You know what? I'm taking the artificial intelligence too. Run your pockets.
Tyrone ordered.
Not Cyber Klaus.
Guy Fawkes pleaded.
There's so much he hasn't told me yet about the aliens.
Tyrone aimed delicately but quickly and fired a searing pink laser beam past the 17th century buffoon's head, missing it by mere centimeters. The shot struck squarely over the room's exit, burying any hope of escape in a mound of burning rubble.
All right.
Guy Fawkes screeched, jumping to his right, petrified. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out the gratuitously decorated floppy.
Don't lose your britches. Take the bloody thing. It's yours.
He tossed the old disc into the tractor beam and watched helplessly as his alien meal ticket floated away.
Well,
Tyrone laughed.
unless any of y'all motherfuckers know how to fly, y'all bitches is fuck. Peace.
He laughed maniacally as he fired up the saucer's zip speed drive and crashed through the skylight, raining glass down on the weary group of humans below as they watched him rocket off into the distance. After a moment of stunned silence, the owl took flight and fluttered out into the open air.
Mothman!
Guy Fawkes shouted mournfully, reaching out for his fleeing companion. The group had tightened, drawing closer together as the flames burned closer and closer, eager to swallow them all up. Everyone stood in silence, avoiding the glares of the others, some pondering desperately their options, others coming to terms with their imminent death. Sarah was playing her 3DS.
Babe,
Donnie whispered weakly.
you think since, we're about to die, we could, not break up?
Babe looked at Donnie with sad eyes and offered a reassuring but heartbreaking smile.
No.
She answered somberly, shaking her head. Guy Fawkes and Claudia finally dared to look in each other's directions, meeting eyes, and a crack of thunder rolled outside, complementing the tense and foreboding mood boiling over in the room. Rapidly, Claudia raised her gun, aiming it at Fawkes. Fawkes reached into the pack hanging from his shoulders and pulled out one of the spears, holding it in a defensive posture. And then, rain. Lots of rain, coming down in sheets, drowning out the noise of the alarms, drowning out the flames, drenching the protagonists and antagonists alike, coming as an omen of their salvation and catharsis. It washed away Claudia's sneer, washed away Guy Fawkes' hallucinogenic trip, and washed away the save files on Sarah's DS. It rained, and rained, and rained, and when it was done raining, the sun came out, and they inhaled deeply and sighed with relief. Wordlessly, the feminazi troops, Ogopogo Lady, Sarah, Babe, and Donnie all helped each other over the jagged rubble that was once Area 51, and they stepped out into the open desert. Claudia and Guy Fawkes stayed behind. Both were still posed offensively with their weapons.
It would appear our people have set their differences aside,
Claudia said, amused.
How very sweet. I'm sure you are thinking we should kiss and make up, Ja?
Ew!
Guy Fawkes blurted.
I ain't never kissed a girl. I mean the Nazi, and I ain't gonna start now. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I ain't never should have taken this bloody job from a Nazi to begin with.
Is that so?
Yep, that's so alright.
Guy Fawkes nodded.
I may be the best monster hunter you'll find, but there's one type of monster even I don't need in my collection. I'm done hunting for Nazis.
So your search for Klaus came up empty-handed.
Claudia chuckled.
You should have listened to me, Mr. Fox.
She pocketed her gun. As much as she wanted to kill him, she couldn't help but feel like this whole thing was all already over, and killing him wouldn't bring her quite the satisfaction as it would have an hour earlier.
Go home, Guy Fawkes. You would be wise to remember these words you have spoken today, and these trials which are now behind you, and stay away from Gernhardt, or I will eventually end up killing you.
Outside, the community spirit was dying down, and the two separate camps had separated and begun moving in their own direction. Everyone was exhausted physically and emotionally, and yet, in a way, fulfilled, as if a climactic coalescing of tensions had reached their logical culmination.
So, Sarah,
Donnie said, shrugging and smiling.
I'm single now. What are you doing this weekend?
Sarah blinked and glared at him askance.
I'm Craig's girlfriend,
she said flatly.
Who the fuck is Craig?
Guy Fawkes rejoined his friends, and the lot of them made their way to the nearest road. They stood under the nearest sign, and Sarah pulled out her phone and checked the time.
I called us an Uber,
she explained.
Should be here soon. It's bringing us all back home.
She paused as she glanced at Guy Fawkes and waited, as if she expected some type of response.
What's your plan, Guy? We're done. If you still want to find a Klaus, you're on your own.
Guy Fawkes gave a small nod.
I'm ready to go home, too,
he said, a hint of defeat to his voice, but also a hint of optimistic expectations.
I think I'm going to tell Gernhardt the mission was a bust, and give him back his spear.
That's probably a good decision,
Sarah said.
Well, I means I got 2 spears now anyway, so who bloody cares?
Guy Fawkes laughed merrily.
I only got one more thing to do now, and it's catch me an alien. And I got a feeling I'm going to have to do that on my own.
A minivan pulled up, and the driver's side window rolled down. A familiar face peeked out, his pudgy cheeks parting in a big, friendly grin.
Hey there! Did somebody call an Uber?
Guy Fawkes instinctually reached for an empty monster capsule, then released his grip and left it in his pocket. He glanced sideways at Sarah, who smiled and raised her eyebrows questioningly. Guy Fawkes smiled back, shook his head slightly, then turned back to the Uber driver.
That will be us. Now what in it?
Then hop on in. You guys look like you've had quite the weekend.
Shouldn't we do something about Tyrone?
Babe asked Guy Fawkes as they climbed in the back of the minivan and took their seats.
I wouldn't even worry about that if I was you,
Guy Fawkes said cryptically. He pulled out his flip phone and played with it idly, scrolling through his contacts and resting on Phil Cobb.
It's all under control, isn't it?
Under control? So they think, huh? So thus concludes this trilogy, The Search for Klaus. Everybody's happy and everything's all copacetic, right? Well, enjoy that shit while it lasts, because everything's about to blow up real soon. So next time on the podcast, we gonna catch up with your boy Donald Trump and his search to uncover the Illuminati. Peace.